at least one person is going to come in early. I appreciate that very much.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you.
It is still morning, isn't it? No, it's afternoon, actually.
Yeah, I have lost track of time and completely.
Are you working today?
Yeah, we're actually running a vaccine clinic here today.
Oh, is it going well?
It is. I would say it is. It's our 6th one, and we've been doing really well.
Yeah, I had a friend who drove over to you to get hers. So I'm going to stop by the villages on Monday if I can, just because I haven't seen any of those people in a while.
I'm gonna close these blinds real quick.
Hey, so I wonder if I can ask a favor of you.
What's that?
I wonder if I can ask a favor of you.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm going to show you this little thing on my website, and we got funded to put free. I mean, you know, we're just funding to produce the prints, but we got funded to put photographs of people's faces in recovery.
Yeah.
And let me see. Admit Pam's here. And so I'm going to share just for a second before she gets on, so we can look for a minute. I think she's on already. But on our website, up at the top, it says join our gallery.
Yeah.
And add your face. So
yeah.
I've not had a lot of luck getting men to participate like that. So
sure.
If you could participate or think about it and ask some of your colleagues there to do it. The photographs, the collage of photographs, and I'll show you one, is going in probation offices and in hospitals. Okay. So it's really just subtle messaging about people in recovery is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hi, Pam. Sorry, I'm selling.
I would be happy to help, and I will. I'll see what else I can find.
Okay, yeah, and you know, especially like men and men of color, we'd love to have those because they do recover, but yeah. It's never. It's not so easy to find. So
you got it.
That'd be great. I'm looking for the faces. Let me try that. So, how are things at SEC otherwise?
Everything is wonderful. We're getting settled. We're really settled into our new building now. We have a whole bunch of exciting things on the horizon. We moved into downtown Denver with a second office where we're serving people coming out of the city and county jails. Things are going great.
How is that going? Okay, so I'm gonna share one more time here so you can see what the finished product looks like. These are 4 foot by 2 foot on gator board, and they're all different faces, all different ages, and all different recovery times.
Beautiful. So, yeah, I would be honored to help, and I will find as many people as I can.
Great. I really appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Hi, Pam. Did she walk away because I was dominating the conversation so much?
I think so.
You're on mute. Corinthia's here. And so we're just going to wait for Khalil.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, good to see you, Corinthia.
Working on, let's see. I wonder if he's trying to get in. Message, this one. Working.
You're on mute, Corinthia.
Oh, hello. Hi. I was like, oh no, I don't like this background. I'm trying to change it.
Well, it makes the top of your head disappear whenever you put it.
Yeah.
And so is the background. And
I'm trying to take it off, but I don't remember how I put it on there. Stop. Hi, Justin. So how do you take the background off? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't have one.
You have to do it on your Zoom page, I think. I don't think you can do it from here. I don't believe.
Really?
I don't think so.
Jeez.
I think you have to do it on the account page, you know, like on the
oh my god
of your account. You're okay like that.
Mm-mm.
I like you without a head. You look,
I don't.
You could probably just scoot over a little bit and then it wouldn't be right in time. There you go.
yeah, that's better.
Oh.
That's better.
Hmm.
You still look like a nun
That looks
who's
funny.
being touched by the
I've been
sun.
touched by an angel.
Touched by an angel, exactly.
I'm gonna figure out how to take this off. I swear.
Oh, DJ Smooth is here now. Okay. So I think that's all of us. And Allison, we'll see when she comes in. Hello.
Hi.
Leo?
So Pam, do you want to take it? Because you're
Got it.
Sure.
Figured it out.
Hang on a second. I need to figure out what I'm doing here. Hold on. There we go.
Turn it off.
Are?
Yeah. Now you can see all of my head.
Much better. Hi, everyone.
hello.
Hi.
So I am your moderator, and that means that I should know what I'm doing, but I don't. So I've never moderated anything before, so I took this very seriously. I just want you to know that,
I
because
love it.
I'm scared to death that I am going to fuck up at something. So
So-
I will.
Let me just
Gracias,
quickly
lady.
review. Let me just quickly review that a lot of the people who have signed up have recovery community organizations somewhere around Colorado. And
Yeah.
so reentry is a community that most of them want to or will be working with. And so they're just going to be curious about what things, and it's very different in Grand Junction than it is in Canyon City. And I think we'll have a few people from a couple of those places and El Paso County and Pueblo. And so we'll just see who comes. But what we really want to do is talk about what are the best practices for working with reentry folks.
Right.
And I especially sorry to point you out here, Corinthia, but I think that trans folks who are reentry get lost in almost every conversation and shuffle. So I specifically wanted Corinthia here, so at least there's some conversation about that. Because if organizations don't have any encounter a transplant, maybe they'll reach out to Corinthia for some support or whatever, rather than just doing what they normally do. Do you see what I'm saying? So anyway, that was sort of my thought process. I don't know if it's right.
Well, all I was going to do today was just introduce myself, just so you guys have some context of how this is going to go, and talk a little bit about CCJRC, and then so they have some idea of why I would actually be here. And then I'm going to introduce each of you and read your short bio, and then we'll just start the presentation. And with the amount of time that we have, I think we'll just do, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 minutes a piece. And I'll just kind of let you know when you're getting close. And then we'll have question and answers at the end. I'll tell people that if they want to put questions in the chat box, then they can do that. And then I can ask the questions at the end as well. So we can do both of those things. And if we get a lot of questions, then we'll just tell them that if we run out of time, that we'll just answer them after the.
I have everyone's email, so we have that. You can put your contact info in the chat room, or I can send it out to all the participants too.
Could you do that?
If that's okay. Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
So
I just need to, and then we have an adult that's handling all of the technical stuff. So as opposed to me.
I'm almost 65, so I'm no longer an adult. I'm a senior.
No,
But anyway, so we've got our first person who's waiting to get in. So, but that's okay. There's no rush. I just want to say thank you so much for giving up some of your time for this. I know that the information that is every day for you guys is not for a lot of the folks that that I see working with when I do my work. So I really appreciate your generosity in being willing to share.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that everybody had a minute to get on early and make sure you look, pretty on camera and that your background doesn't have, something messed up in it.
Oh, you can't see half your head.
Get comfortable.
Yeah.
Run to the bathroom. Make sure you've got some soda, whatever it takes to get you through this.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get some water.
I think you should go get some then.
It's all good. We still have 10 minutes, so
We got 10 minutes. The only reason I wanted to do this was just to make sure and see if anybody had any questions prior to doing this. But I just think it gives us a little bit of lead-in time to just get ready.
Take your time and shine.
So I have a question. So
okay.
After you do the after you introduce all of us, is it going to be like an open dialogue, or are you going to ask us these questions that?
So what I'm going to do is start with Khalil and ask him to talk for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to go to Corinthia and ask her to talk for 10 minutes.
You didn't get that water, huh?
Why? Okay. What am I talking about for 10 minutes?
You're talking about the unique opportunities that are offered to folks through reentry from your perspective.
The best practices. So how to really connect with people and do them a service.
Okay.
You know what it is.
10 minutes.
I saw your resume.
It's 10 minutes. You want me to throw 10 minutes of fluff out there?
Yep. So you have to remember that these are all people that generally don't work with folks coming out. And so we have to.
You could talk about SCC for 5 of those minutes.
Yeah, I'm probably going to talk about SCC for.
Okay.
9.
And then Justin, that crimps into what you're going to share.
So then I'll have Corinthia go, and then when Corinthia's done, we'll go to Justin, and then after Justin, we'll go to Deborah. What's her name?
Allison,
and then we'll have Allison on as soon as she comes on. So, and then we can people will be able to just ask you questions directly, or we'll have them in the chat box. And so
let's just have fun. Let's just have some fun.
I mean, this is what you do every day, Khalil.
You're
a DJ, for Christ's sakes. You can talk about nothing for 10 minutes all the time.
Well, I like to speak with my hands, so I let the music talk.
I'm going to take a call here real quick.
I didn't bring the music with me. But,
this isn't government, and nobody's going to give us money. So just be yourself and talk about why it's important and why you think what you're doing is nuanced and unique and different from everybody else, and why you're successul. And go find some water.
I want to get some water.
Go get some water.
Now
I'll be right back.
I need a piece of cake now too.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, Justin just disappeared. I have a question. I have to know who was on the video dancing in front of the center.
Oh, Kelly.
That was Kelly?
Yeah.
You can't tell with the mask on. I was like, who in the world is out there dancing with this sign? Survivor. Oh.
I'm going to start letting people in, and I'm going to be getting calls for people who can't find the link and all that. So I'll be managing that a little bit on and off.
And all that.
But I will.
Yeah. Well, you know it's going to happen.
Oh, it always does.
Funny.
No, it's great. So anyway,
Hi, Gene. It's been a while since I've seen him.
Gino,
Yeah, it's like, hi.
that's my buddy Gino.
Oh, it's like with the new gym or fitness center. Something's going on that I haven't been able to get down there, but I want to.
Boxing gym.
I'm going on the 2nd. He's muted.
Are you?
He's muted.
June 2nd? Maybe I'll go then.
June
Oh,
2nd
sorry,
at
sir.
2.
Can you guys hear me now? Oh,
Yeah.
hey.
Yep.
What's up, guys? How are you?
How you
sorry,
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, the gym. You guys got to come check it out. It's awesome.
June 2nd, you're gonna go, Pam? I think I'll go.
I'm
June
going.
2nd.
Me and Leo are going down there on June 2nd at 2 o'clock if Gino has time for us.
Get out
Absolutely.
some frustration.
I'm gonna just show up at 2 o'clock on June 2nd.
Come through.
Okay.
We'll have a big party. Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be cool. June 2nd is a Tuesday too. Ah.
Yeah, we're excited. We just want to be a resource to everyone in Aurora. You know, I think Aurora is really, really missing something like this. You know, Denver, they got Phoenix downtown.
Yeah,
but
that's too far.
Aurora doesn't have anything really like recovery, fitness kind of related.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well,
Plus we got the boxing ring down there. So like, I don't know, for me, like that's the best thing. I love
Do you
it.
teach old ladies how to box?
Yeah, we can definitely. We have all levels of boxing.
oh. Ooh, about that. Yeah.
We were actually doing a class, so it was you guys know Sarah
Really?
Hornbuckle,
Yeah.
Raquel Garcia, the lady from the Signal Grant Place, Heather, and Terry from Connect. We're all gonna come do a boxing class on Monday. They call it like Boss Ladies Boxing. So
Really?
you guys should get in on that.
Women's boxing, huh?
Yeah. You guys should get in on it. It'd be
I'll do
cool.
it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about getting somebody hit me in my punching me in the face.
No one's actually like we're not gonna actually be hitting anybody. It's just gonna be like technique, like it's just gonna be like just kind of like a little fun workout, work some technique and stuff. No one's
I've
gonna
been
be,
boxing
like,
in parking lots half my life.
See, that's why I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be able to pretend like if you hit me in my face, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
like it's all,
I don't know about that.
Let's try it and see how it goes.
I think I can learn some skills, some self-defense, and get some exercise.
yeah, it's
There
really
you
like
go.
no one's really we're not
Oh.
punching each other in the face. It's just it's just
Okay.
a fun workout. It's like some of the best kind of like cardio workout you can do, and it's fun.
Yep.
Like it's way funner than just like running on a treadmill or something like that.
Okay. Definitely gonna do that.
Definitely stress relieving.
Yeah, I'll send
Okay.
up. So, because we had to reschedule it because both Heather and Raquel had like an emergency that day or something. So it was gonna be this Monday, but we're looking for a day to reschedule it. So I'll just include you guys in there, and yeah.
Okay. Please include me. So we can get our
That'd be
women
great.
there.
I think I have your email address, Corinthia, but
Mhm.
if
I'll send it to you.
yeah,
Okay.
just send it.
Well, we've got about 1 minute, 2 minutes.
And we'll
Before
get
we
a couple
start.
minutes for people to get on. Let's see. I'm surprised that there are so. Oh, here's another. Okay. Coming at you. And I'll just keep letting people in while you do your deal. And I'm trying to manage my phone as well. So I may go off picture. So if I have to take a call.
Look at his. That's cute, huh? Hello.
Is that Eric Trump?
Hi, Eric.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good.
We're just gonna wait a few more minutes until we have everybody on.
Pam, would you ask people to put their email address in the chat box as sort of a sign-in sheet?
Would everybody mind putting your email in the chat box, that's going to be our sign-in sheet.
Shelters. TX, detox.
Thank you. Well, I was waiting for our fourth panelist, but it looks like she might be a little late. So I'm going to give it exactly 2 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and start because I want to be really respectful of everybody's time. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just get started. And if our other panelist joins us, then we'll just weave her into this discussion. But I wanted to say good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here today. Welcome to the Faces and Voices of Recovery local expert panel on reentry best practices. And I'm really excited to welcome those of you in the audience who are in the existing and emerging recovery community organizations in Colorado, because reentry and recovery really dovetail in a lot of very important ways. So personally, it's exciting that you have decided to participate in order to kind of understand the nuances that might accompany those who are reentering our communities. But recovery is really at the forefront of their mind and deeply part of their reentry progress. So first I'll introduce myself. My name's Pam Clifton. I'm from the Colorado Criminal Justice Reform Coalition. I've been on staff here in various iterations for the past 16 years. CCJRC has been at the forefront of confronting mass incarceration and reducing the overuse of the criminal justice system for the past 20 years. We have a long track record of success in policy advocacy. We've written and successfully lobbied for the passage of over 40 bills relating to sentencing and parole reform, behavioral health, reducing collateral consequences, making sure that there's money for folks to get into treatment when they want to, and restoring the right to vote for people who are on parole. But at our core, CCJRC is a community-centered organization in which most of the staff board members have been directly impacted by crime, the system, addiction, or some combination of all of those. And we know that public safety really begins in the community, by the community. So we have worked really hard to pioneer community-based services for reentry, crime prevention, harm reduction, and addiction recovery and treatment. And so personally, I studied psychology and sociology at the University of Colorado and the University of Washington. I spent a couple of years studying filmmaking at the Open Media Foundation. And I also served 7 years in prison for a minor drug conviction. And when I was released in 2002, I went to work as a fundraiser and supervisor at a fundraising organization that raised money for nonprofit and political organizations around the country. And that's shorthand for telemarketer, in case you're wondering. And that's pretty much the only job that I could get at the time, but that's where I learned how politics work. And so I brought that with me when I successfully completed parole in 2005 and joined the staff of CCJRC. I wanted to really see collateral consequences reduced and drug laws changed and parole laws reform and the warehousing of people in Colorado stopped. So the last few years, though, I've been kind of targeting my work on reducing the number of women that are going back to prison or going in the first place. And as a side note, I've also successfully been in recovery for 24 years now. So today, however, I'll be responsible for hosting this presentation, and I'm glad to welcome our panelists. Khalil Halim and Justin Larson are both from the Second Chance Center in Aurora. Corinthia Brown is from the Don't Look Back Center. And we were going to have Allison Gottsman from CU. And if so, she drops in, she'll be here as well. So these folks are going to be presenting on their thoughts and experiences on what the person leaving incarceration is likely to be experiencing and what their most pressing needs might be and why it's a unique opportunity to be able to serve them. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share a brief bio on each of our participants so you have some idea of who they are and why they're here. And then we can just move through the presentation. And at the end, we'll do some question and answer. But in the meantime, if you think of something, you can go ahead and add a question to the chat box and we will just ask our folks that at the end. So I'm going to start with Khalil. Khalil, if you smile and wave, that would be great. He's an ex-Army veteran that has really dedicated his life to service. He's earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Systems Management. He graduated summa cum laude from that and has worked as the Deputy Director, Client Services Supervisor, and Counselor at It Takes a Village for the past 12 years. Now, within those years, Khalil also served on the Mayor's Office of HIV Resources Planning Council. He served as Chair of Priority Setting and Allocation Committee, was appointed by the Governor to the Colorado HIV/AIDS Prevention Program Grant Review Committee, implemented and oversaw one of Aurora's homeless prevention and rapid rehousing project, as well as provided one-on-one counseling and group level intervention counseling at It Takes a Village. Now he's also a founding member to Second Chances Center's Board of Directors and has now joined the Second Chance Center team as Director of Care Management as he continues to serve the community. I also hear that he still finds time to earn an iconic urban name in the local DJ game. So thank you so much for being here, Khalil. Now his focus, when we asked around how to best serve his clients, was to really meet them where they're at, because there's no one size fits all approach when it comes to reentry. Everyone's an individual. And so he needs to be able to understand and help solve issues like housing or employment or being able to provide substance abuse counseling for folks. So once again, thank you so much, Khalil, for being here. Next,
Hey.
I'd like to introduce Corinthia. Corinthia Brown. Her experience with the criminal justice system led her to found and become the executive director of the Don't Look Back Center, incorporated in Aurora, and the House of Rahab, which is a CAR certified transitional sober living home. The Don't Look Back Center specializes in supporting women and trans women that are leaving the Colorado's Department of Corrections. This also includes women and trans women that are coming from the city and county jails as well. Now, most, if not all of her clients have experienced substance abuse disorders, mental health conditions, histories of trauma, which include sexual abuse, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and human trafficking. Her program provides culturally responsive, trauma-informed cognitive behavioral therapy or dialectic behavioral therapy, relapse prevention, education, DUI education, and therapy if appropriate, care management, support groups, AccuDetox, and they have the opportunity or the option to participate in the Don't Look Back Center's transitional housing program, the House of Rahab. Now, Corinthia focuses on those needs that people have right when they get out, that kind of that triage of help that folks need around stable housing or sober living, clothes, hygiene, transportation, care management services, applying for those things that you don't have that you have to have, like IDs or social security cards and birth certificates. They also provide mental health treatment, substance abuse disorder treatment, trauma, and MAT services, while also being able to help folks access to technology, which in some cases may be their first time around cell phones or computers, and then teach them to use that technology to build resumes or to search for employment or housing as well. So I'd like to thank Corinthia very much for being here today. We certainly appreciate you being here, dear. And last for now, we have Justin Larson. Justin from the Second Chance Center grew up in Kansas City and spent his teens and 20s addicted to drugs, ultimately ended up in prison. But thankfully for us, Justin is now in long-term recovery. He's completed an undergraduate degree in human services and his coursework for a graduate degree in clinical mental health counseling, all while working at the Second Chance Center, where he serves as the program development manager. Justin has created several successful programs and groups at the Second Chance Center and has dedicated himself to assisting people who are leaving incarceration. And Justin believes that really the most important thing that a person leaving incarceration can be assisted with is a sense of community and belonging, and really building that connection to others, which is so important, especially for those of us that are in recovery and coming back from incarceration as well. And so thank you so much, Justin, for being here. We certainly appreciate you. I believe he has a podcast that he works on as well. So he's our resident podcast guy. So Allison, if she shows up, is a recognized expert on healthcare delivery systems. She's spent most of her career promoting efficient, cost-effective, and humane ways to deliver healthcare. And she's the program director at the Practice Innovation Program at the CU School of Medicine. And what they do is they've built this through the Colorado Health Extension system. It's a cooperation statewide of transformation organizations, regional health connectors, state agencies, and other partners that are interested in some of the more unique aspects of health and healthcare in Colorado, depending on which community they're in, and able to really serve their clients who need resources anywhere from addiction, medically assisted treatment, or family matters, all of those things. And so, like I said, we'll go ahead and get started. Everybody's going to talk to you for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll do some questions afterwards. And like I said, if you have a question that you want to add to the chat box so that I can ask them afterwards, we can do that as well. But I think that right now what we're going to do is start with Khalil and find out exactly what it is that he finds so fascinating.
Hey, all right. Welcome everybody. Glad to be here. Glad to see everybody out here. Before I get started, can everybody hear me pretty well? I got a kind of like a baritone voice, so let me know if I need to talk louder if I need to. Basically, I just want to get on here and explain Second Chance Center and what it is that we do and some of the things that we do to kind of help guys coming back home. So at Second Chance Center, we provide care management services and services for guys coming out of jail or prison, on parole, or the halfway house. And currently, we've been doing it for a few years now. Currently, we have a less than 5% recidivism rate for guys that have completed our program, especially if they've gone through the WAGES program. And that is significantly lower than what the rest of the nation is doing. So we like to toot our horn on that a little bit. And that's for guys that have been in the WAGES program, which is a program that we have funded, as well as the guys that are not in the WAGES program. Our recidivism rate is less than 10%, so still well below the nation average. Can I explain WAGES? Yes. So WAGES is a program that we have funded partially through the Department of Corrections that we can help guys that are coming home with their rent, their first month's rent deposit, with some stability rent, as far as stability housing services, as far as like transitional housing, as well as hotel motel stays for guys that are parole homeless or just released from the halfway house with no parole plan or anything like that. As well as we can also provide for educational and vocational services such as a flagger certificate, asbestos training. We pay for CDL license, and those things, and just stability measures. Anything that helps stabilize the client. One of the things that we feel and believe in over at Second Chance Center, and Pam alluded to it, is that we want to meet clients where they're at. And what that looks like is being able to, for the most part, eliminate any barriers to their success in the reentry. So if a guy gets out and he comes and he says, hey, you know, I got this job, it starts 2 weeks from now, however, I'm at this transitional housing place and I can't pay, then we help them out with that. Because we want to try to do whatever we can to ensure that there's some stability in where they're at. Because with these guys that are coming out, one of the things that's for certain is that if you don't have the basic needs met, it's going to be hard to focus on all the other stuff, right? It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if anybody's familiar with that. You can't go to the next level if you're worrying about where I'm sleeping, where I'm eating, whatever the case may be. The last thing you're thinking about at that point is, I can go over here to this job training class if you're concerned about where you're sleeping at night. So we try to take care of that part and then work on how we can help. The next steps is like getting a job training and whatnot. And also being able to understand where guys are coming from. On our staff, we have a majority of the staff, if not, and when I say majority, I probably mean like 90% of our staff are criminal justice involved. They either did time, served time, or had substance abuse issues, one or the other. And we're able to, for the most part, relate to what another guy is going through, what they're going through on parole, because we've done it, some of us for a very long time, and been able to come out and still show success and how not to turn around and go back. And so we kind of role model that behavior here, which helps with, the clients that come in being able to see, hey, I can actually do this. And if I listen to these guys, if I take their advice, I don't have to do some of the things that I did before to put me back, right? So when I say meeting them where we're at, that's one of the first things is, hey, being able to understand that what each person brings into our office is not going to be the same as the other person that come in with something, and just being able to adjust and do whatever we need to do to help that person in that situation at that time. Um, and we, like I said, in the 5 things that we focus on housing, we focus on employment, we focus on substance abuse, because these are the 3 main things with guys coming out. These are their concerns, their worries. Like, am I going to be able to find a place to stay? Am I going to be able to find employment that will hire a felon that maybe spent 20 or 30 years with no skills prior to that? How do I deal with my substance abuse issue? All of these 3 things are things that we like to focus on and try to help these guys that get out. I don't know if I'm at 10 minutes yet.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Got 3 minutes.
I got 3. I only talked 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, you only talked for 6.
Oh, I talked for 6. Okay. So I gotta give you guys a whole bunch of fluff at this point, right? To get to my 3-minute mark, to get to my full 10-minute mark. So this is what we focus on. Now, in the process of that, we're constantly developing programs to help guys navigate their way through it. Currently, right now, we're working on a registered apprenticeship program that we will provide in-house, that guys will have to commit to, and it's a pathway to more of a mortgage paying career versus just a job. Another thing that we're doing is providing stable housing for guys that come out with our transitional HSP housing. And what we would like to do, and what we're working on right now, is a live, learn, and earn model, where we can have a cohort of guys that are coming out, going through the pre-apprenticeship program together, living in the same house, going to school together, and eventually working together with a mortgage paying career. So these are some of the things that we're working on. It's a ton more stuff that we're working on, and I don't want to take all the smoke thunder from Justin, but
I have a question about the because you're at It Takes a Village for a long time as well, also.
yes.
And what is the difference between folks coming through that program as opposed to the Second Chance Center?
Well, what It Takes a Village, the majority, 90% of the clients at It Takes a Village were all guys that were diagnosed HIV positive, and so there was a little bit of different approach there, because we wanted to. The focus was different. The focus was more or less stabilizing healthcare and whatnot. Now, we did have a lot of guys that were coming out of jail and prison with the same issues. They were coming out of jail and prison, and they were HIV positive. So it was like you had to work on more things. This population is just jail and prison versus the healthcare aspect of it.
And so do you find that healthcare is easy for them? That population, either one?
No, not at all. I mean, Colorado is one of the leaders as far as the provider system for HIV in the nation. So it's a little, they have things set up and they've been working on it for years. So it's a little easier to navigate than some other states. However, there's still some challenges. There's not a lot of dental providers, which is a medical issue as well. And then just to get clients to be able to trust the healthcare system. A lot of us don't have trust in the healthcare system. I don't have trust in the healthcare system. They took me to get vaccinated kicking and screaming, right? Because I still don't know if I trusted it at all right now. I'm looking at my arm to make sure it's not glowing. But it's a process. It's a process. And a lot of times, and Mr. Russian up there can speak to it a little bit. A lot of times we have to pretty much hold guys' hands as we navigate the system for them, because it's kind of like coming out of prison when you've been gone for 30 years or 20 years. You don't know anything. And if you're coming out and you're diagnosed with HIV, you really don't know the medical system either. And it's kind of scary to go in and, there's a stigma around it and everything. So it's kind of scary to have to go in and try to navigate that by yourself. So at a Takes the Village, we got a system in place to help navigate that system.
Thank you so much, Khalil. I appreciate your insights. It's really important, I think, that we think about the difficulties that people have looking for health care, whether it's mental health care or behavioral health care or physical health care or recovery. So thank you very much.
All right.
Next, I'd like to introduce Corinthia. Corinthia, why don't you tell us why your life is exciting?
Oh, my life's exciting. Good morning or afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I don't know. My life is busy. So I'll just start with my name is Corinthia. I am also a returning citizen. I love saying that because they don't call me a convicted felon anymore. So, and I'm really proud of that because I mean, just that stigma all by itself. So, and I'm in recovery. You know, I had a long battle with addiction, and I'm in recovery today. So my experience coming out, I'm going to just say, I finished my parole in 2001, that's when I actually received the paperwork, when I really felt like, okay, the system let me go, in a sense, because I had some paperwork to prove it, just in case. So that was in 2001. At that time, I was, like I said, I was rebuilding my life, just getting out of prison. For me, and part of my story was having children that were caught up in the system because of my addiction. So rebuilding that relationship with them and doing all those things. So it wasn't just me rebuilding. I had to rebuild and try to mend and fix also. And one of the things that I experienced and I've learned over the years, working in several different agencies, is most guys have a home to come to when they come out of prison. I hate to say that, I don't want to take anything away from that, but there's not too many women that have somebody sitting at home waiting for them to come home. That says, hey, you can stay here, you can build from this aspect. And unfortunately, there's more women. It was more women who had that experience, and I was one of those women. So you ended up back when we got out of prison, all they had was a shelter. Parole homeless, you go to a shelter. So that's where it was. That's how it was then. So I'm gonna get, so that's when I decided there's a lot of stuff that I don't have time to explain today, but I decided one day I wanted to give back and do my part in the community also. And so I was working actually with a Denver sheriff, and she was also a foster mom, and she happened to be the one that had my kids. She encouraged me to start taking the CAT classes, become an addiction counselor. Now, also, when I got out of prison, I didn't even have a GED when I got out. Now I have a few degrees and some certificates. So I don't even know, I'm speechless when I think of that, but that's where it was for me. I started taking the classes, and then I was introduced to, it was a trans woman who helped me with a lot of stuff in my life, because as a single mother with 4 sons, she was a huge part of my life. And so that's why I have the passion for the trans community. She became a part of helping me rebuild also. And so she was working actually she worked for It Takes a Village. That's where I met a few people. That's where I met Khalil and Justin. And I actually still work there. And Rod. That's where I met Rod. I peeked his face in. So that's where we all met. But I'm still the addiction program supervisor there. And when I came in there, I was just looking for CAC hours, and I didn't know what the plan was. But so here I am now. I started the Don't Look Back Center specifically for women and trans women. The main reason was because there were no gender specific services, especially not in Aurora, where I'm at. So I got in a lot of trouble in Denver, so I stay away from Denver. And at one time, there was one agency, they would just send everybody, just because you're a female, that's where they sent you to. So that was one of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to create something that was specifically for women and addressing, because we all have trauma, but I really believe that trauma therapy, treatment, substance abuse, housing, all the mental health services you could possibly give someone needs to be gender responsive. It needs to be collectively separate, men and women, because we process and we think differently. So that was my idea. And so pulling it all together and all the things that we do today. So today, the Don't Look Back Center, we're an OBH licensed outpatient substance abuse treatment center. So we provide gender specific services, including DUI and education and therapy. And we only work with women and trans women again. We have, oh God, there's so many things that we're doing today. Collaborations that I have today. So one is we offer the substance abuse treatment, mental health services from our clinical director, Dr. Lacey Bruman. She provides all the mental health services for us. And our services are culturally responsive, trauma informed, and gender specific. So for all of our programs, that including our transitional sober living home. I don't know what else to say right now. I'm trying to think. 10 minutes, 10 minutes. That's all that's going through my head right now. So we also do some other collaborations in the community. We work with anybody. We don't, if you walk in the door or you give us a call, we don't turn anybody away. If we can't help you, we do a warm handoff. So we'll get you to that next phase. And that was another experience too. When I got out, you had to go to one place for your ID, another place to get a voucher for whatever that was to pay for the ID, another place to get your birth certificate. Then you had to run all the way on the other side of town and do a UA. And then also I had to deal with a social worker in human services. So I'm doing all this stuff for them. And that's another lot. And they wanted you to hold a full-time job and pay restitution and all those different things. So collectively, I try to create a place where all those things can happen in one place. So now we'll, along with technologies advanced also too. So if we can get a woman, and including child support, because there's a plethora of women that have to pay child support also. That was another struggle for me. I finally got that paid off in one place. So we have our care managers in our team. Most of us have lived experience, meaning that some of us are in recovery and most of us have been released from prison and had that whole experience. Some just city jail. I'm not taking away from that, but I think it just makes you more impactful and understanding and compassionate. Walking into a place where you can say, that person really can truly tell you, I know exactly how you feel and exactly where you were. And I think that's important. I really do. So, and in being able to offer someone like Khalil was saying, like, you're not going to think about what any other service if you don't have a place to sleep at night, if you don't know where you're going to go. Some I know have experienced immense guilt. So there's a lot of people because they've left their children or their kids were abandoned. So we also, with our treatment service, our mental health servicing, our housing, care management, and helping you apply for all services, we really refer to second chance for wages because we don't not yet. I'm not even going to speak it. We'll be doing that hopefully soon. Including that, we also do a lot of life skills and parenting skills that's required for some women. And we do family visits at the house. So where children will come, set up a visit, work with social services where they can do supervised visits with their children, or either they come here to the office and do that. Trying to rebuild families, make a connection with them. I'm trying to think, what else do we do? We also do AccuDetox services here, treatments. So,
Can you explain AccuDetox?
Well, AccuDetox is based on Eastern medicine. So like on where we live at in the Western side of the world, they have a pill for everything. I don't know how else to say it. I got to simplify it. They got a pill for everything. So they believe in the insertion of a needle will cause a release. So there's 5 points in your ear. I'm only certified to do the ear. So there's 5, the belief is that there's 5 points in your ear. One, it's called the spirit gate, or we call it the equilibrium. Your lungs, your liver, what's the other one? I'm missing one of them.
Kidney?
No, yeah, that's it. See, you could explain it. No, I don't know how I lost it. I think because I was put on the spot. Anyway, so it causes a release. It helps with, oh my God, with cravings, grief, stress. It helps with insomnia if you can't sleep. Depending on whatever's going on in your life, it causes a release in those areas. We hold, most of us hold our stress, our grief, all those feelings in our body. So it causes a natural release to happen. And sometimes it's instantly, and sometimes it could be a delayed response. So offering that along with treatment and any other services that you have, that's what AccuDetox is. And we also here, we make sure that we have clothes. We get a lot of donations for clothes, shoes, hygiene, feminine products because we specifically work with women. And we also have a food pantry. So we get a lot of clients that come in just for food, and that's all they need one day. Because we also believe in the harm reduction. Like they were saying, when someone's no pressure when you're ready, but you always know you have a place to go get those things. And it's amazing to watch the journey from a person came in and they swear all they needed was some food, but you could clearly see it. And I love being a part of the transformation when the light bulb comes on and another person has actually been successful in rebuilding their life. So that's
Corinthia, you're kind of the queen of transformation. So
I am.
we,
Yeah, okay.
thank you so much for all of that, and for
Thank
everything
you.
that you're doing.
Mhm.
Let's check in with Justin real quick and see
Oh
if
yeah,
he's as busy as you are.
thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Justin, and I was trying to think of like things that hadn't been spoken about already. Corinthia is my CAC supervisor, and Khalil's my boss, so I want to do right by both of them. But I was thinking about the first person that I remember who, like, in my life, like, gave a shit about me. I had this guy in high school, this professor who's actually younger than I am now, or was younger then than I am now, who was determined for some reason, probably just because he was new to this, that I graduate from high school. And I was doing my hardest not to graduate from high school. I was already an IV drug user, and it was my life was completely off the rails. But there was this guy, his name Mr. Perlman, and even though I did actually graduate with a 1.7 GPA, I look back on this guy 20 years later, like as like one of the most important people I ever met. And when I finally got sober, I spent a lot of time thinking about him. I mean, I was in prison, so I had plenty of think, but I spent a lot of time thinking like how important that relationship was, because once I got clean, I had no idea how to like be a functioning adult. So I started thinking about functioning adults I had known and how they behaved, and I just started modeling my interactions with people after those guys. And he was at the top of the list, along with my step grandfather. And Second Chance Center, like, is a place where you can go and you meet someone and you're like, oh my God, this guy gives a shit about me. And that's why I was thinking about this. And I like that we were talking about the hierarchy of needs, because I think Second Chance Center's evolution sort of syncs up with some of that line of thinking. Second Chance Center, famously, because I've heard this in a million speeches, began in the trunk of Hassan's car.
Did.
And then goes to, three guys in a closet helping people with their lived experience, boots, tools, and the essentials to survive, right? And as Second Chance Center has grown, we've escalated the services we're offering to help people further along the path out of survival and into, self-actualization, right? The top of the hierarchy. To that end, what we realized is Second Chance Center's most powerful weapon was this lived experience thing, right? Like, it was a cheat code. Like, we were hacking and people trusted us instantly because, like, oh, I know him from the yard, right? And so people would ask, well, what's this guy got that I don't? And the truth is, all we had was timeout and people who gave a shit about us. And that's what we've used then to inform the expansion of our services, right? So we realized not too quickly, but quickly enough, that we could provide 1 million referrals to the most competent people in the world who were providing things that Second Chance Center was not providing at any given time. And most people weren't following through on these referrals. I mean, I've been here for about 5 years. I've literally, in the old days, taken people in my car to appointments, dropped them off, and then they walked away. And so we continuously bring more and more services in-house because they're here and they trust us. And so let's, do the handshake, introduce in person, right? So to that end, we brought licensed clinical social worker inside the building to offer mental health services on site. So we're not taking people to Aurora Mental Health or Mental Health Center in Denver or stuff like that anymore. It used to be here are ARC vouchers. Now we have an entire wing of the building. We moved into a new building, by the way, in January, and it's huge and it's amazing. But now here we have a huge wing of the building where you can get not just clothes, but I mean, I got married in a suit that I got at Second Chance Center, right? And on top of that, we have, there's an entire room here full of things like blenders and colanders and other things that I don't really know how to differentiate from one another, that we can help stock your apartment with. If you're moving into a new place, like, it's not just about we're getting you off the streets into the hotel and getting you a job anymore. Now it's, all right, you've been doing that for a few months. Let's get you into your own apartment. We'll provide you with furniture. Just today, Khalil and I were this morning looking at some homes, some properties that we're going to take over here. And we're talking about where are we getting beds, where are we getting a stove, this, that, and the other, because we are we're here for the duration, right? Like we have people who come through Second Chance Center who've been out for years, have completed their sentences, completed their parole, and they want to show off their motorcycle, right? Or they want to introduce us to their wife. And that's, that was like phase 2, right? There's survival and there's reintegration, right? And what we're working on now is this further expansion of what we're doing here into, I said this the other day, unironically, but technology is the future, right? So what we're looking at now is an expansion into digital media, a presence online, engagement civically, right? So like, instead of just being on the receiving end of the laws that are passed by people who we feel completely detached from, bringing people down to the Capitol, training them to testify, right? Like bringing state officials into Second Chance Center to give explanations for what they do and how their decisions affect your lives and how you can affect them, right? A lot of people's eyes open real wide when you say things like district attorney is an elected position, and those are the sorts of things that, like, after you're surviving and after you feel comfortable and after you feel like you belong somewhere, then you can feel engaged. You can give back and become not just a functioning member of society, but a role model for the future people coming out. When I got out, I was out for about 6 months, and I met Adam Abdullah, who's one of the founders of Second Chance Center, sort of just randomly, and because I was on parole, but like I didn't know about Second Chance Center, and I'd gotten an associate's degree while I was in prison, and I was working on an undergraduate degree at MSU, and he came to lecture at one of my classes, and he's talking about helping guys on parole, and you know how classes are, right? Like most people are tuning out. It's a guest lecturer, that's a free pass for the day, but I'm fucking wrapped, right? Because I'm on parole, and this guy's talking about helping me, and so I talked to him afterwards. I was like, hey, I want to do what you do. And just knowing a guy who had done time, who had gotten out, changed his life, become successful, changed the direction of my life. Because the time I was working as a welder, and yeah, I was in college, but I was probably going to keep welding, or maybe work overnight at a detox as a tech or something like that. But Adam told me about what Second Chance Center was doing, which was great. But what Adam really did was show me about his life, and I wanted that. And if he could do it, I could do it. So I did. And that's the message. That's what it's not a product. We know it's the truth. You walk in here and you meet people who've been through everything, who've committed every kind of crime you can imagine. Mine was boring, but it was caught on camera, so I went to prison. And we send that message to people, right? Like and every day, I've been here for years, I've been out for years, I've been clean for 9 years. Every day, it's like that same energy you get when you step into a 12-step meeting, or you talk to somebody else who's been through the war, literally or figuratively, and you're like, man, I get it, brother or sister, and that's what we got here, and that's why, despite working 600 hours a week, I love what I do, and I keep coming back, So that's my speech.
Justin, can you tell me about the mentoring that goes on at Second Chance?
Yeah, absolutely. Second Chance Center is founded on a lot of principles that are laid out in Hassan's book, Never Going Back, 7 Steps to Staying Out of Prison. And the first group that Second Chance Center started running was a weekly mentoring group, Saturday mornings, where returning citizens, staff members, would talk about one of the steps in their lives. And I don't know how many of you grew up in a small town with nothing to do, but I did. And there was a Lions Club where all the old guys in town would hang out every weekend and shoot pool and give pancakes to us poor people. This is that, right? This is the sense of community. This is, you come in, you hear some incredible stuff, and then you sit down and break bread with your brothers and sisters, right? And you realize that you've just been out, a few years less than these guys. Mentoring happens in the group setting, but it's also a huge aspect of what we do one-on-one, and not just to avoid the scrutiny of of Dora. What we do is, we lead by example, like I talked about, but we also just sort of come to people as equals, right? Like, we're not, despite the education I've since received, like, I reject the idea that, like, I have to manipulate the power imbalance between the two of us in order to facilitate change, right? I think that inspiration is a fine way to facilitate change, and that happens in a mentoring session, right? People want what you got, and so we listen and we talk, and judgment free. Unconditional positive regard is the phrase, right, from MI. That's what we do. That's how we breathe here. and that's part of the mentoring process. We've since expanded our group offerings to all sorts of other things. We have a men's group that meets Saturday mornings called Rooted, which is for guys who maybe need a little more intimate of a setting to process what's going on there, and, you know, when they're first released. Because whether you did, you know, 6 months or 60 years, right? Like prison's major trauma. And so having an opportunity to sort of like normalize that experience and be told like, hey, it's okay, that happened to me too, like that can be game changing. I mean, while I was in prison, this movie called Prometheus came out, which is not a particularly great movie, but I was thinking a lot about it. And so when I got out and I paroled to my mom's basement, I was very fortunate to reconnect with her while I was locked up. She had TiVo'd Prometheus. Now I did not know what TiVo was, nor did I had a TV for quite a while. But she points at this computer or TV, I'm sorry, and she's like, it's on there. I was like, awesome. I've been waiting for literally years to see this movie. And so I sat down and I looked at like 6 remotes and I broke down crying, laid on the ground and fell asleep on the floor because I thought, oh, I can't do this. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but like, you know, the truth is that like everybody comes out, has a moment like this, whether it's in King Soopers walking around the aisle for the first time, which is a whole nightmare, or, you know, when you realize that like the world changed while you were gone and you need to catch up. The opportunity to share those moments with guys as they come out is essential, right? And that's all part of the mentoring process.
Yeah, you're fabulous. So thank you. All of you guys are just amazing. And I mean, I knew Hassan when he was in the trunk. So when I come to your guys' building now, I'm just in awe, absolute awe. But I'd like to step back now and give everybody a chance to ask you guys some questions. So if you guys would unmute yourselves and please feel free to ask them one-on-one.
Pam, this is Merlin Karst in California.
Hi, Merlin.
Pam and I have known each other for a while. And thank you, Justin. I tune in as I get an opportunity to I always say, great to see familiar faces, even better to be one. But I loved what you had to say, Justin. And in California, when I got here, I'd been here before, involved with the justice system personally, with driving drunk and paying consequences and stuff, but staying with an alternative sentencing program and basically not people getting out, people just not having to go in, and instead of staying on track and getting their life and so forth. Now involved with starting a new RCO and also STOP program, which is basically a recovery center that takes on people who have been in jail a long time. And everything you described, you know, is obvious to us and what we have to do about it. And trying to provide those kinds of services and so forth, the needs met kind of thing. We still, I even think, Pam, of all my discussions with probation, I said, you got to start with the needs. If they don't have a place to sleep, if they don't have money in their pocket, how in the hell are they going to get to you to take tests? And the probation department in Denver learned a lot, did a lot before I left there. And so the last thing I want to say is something that you mentioned 2 or 3 times, Justin, which was, hey, my God, here's a guy that cares about me. Okay. And I'll leave you with this. They don't care what we know until they know that we care.
That's right.
So
Okay.
can I just?
Thanks. Great to see all of you.
Great
And
to see you, Merlin.
we're all okay.
Hey, Merlin. I just want to give a shout out to Merlin.
Hey,
Merlin,
Rod, you're on the line.
yeah, Merlin is one of the founding members of Faces and Voices of Recovery.
That's right.
Back in 2001 in Minneapolis, he participated in the first meeting, Faces and Voices. So I just kind of wanted to say hello. He really mentored us as we were coming up doing our thing. So anyway, thanks, Merlin. That's all.
Hey, thanks for the mention. Good to see you. Like I say, great to see familiar faces. Even better to be one. Have a good day, everybody.
You
God,
too, Merlin. Thank you. Hope to see you again.
Thank you for what you do.
I have one question. I was wondering, what do you find the biggest challenge as far as helping folks that are in recovery when they think that maybe recovery is not working for them?
I'm gonna just jump in there, and somebody else might want to follow up, maybe Corinthia. The main thing is for us, for at least us over here, is helping them understand that they actually need recovery. There's a lot of guys that, and women, that don't feel that they have a recovery issue. Feel everything else is the issue, and they may be at a point that they're kind of sabotaging themselves because they don't really understand how this is really affecting them because they don't see it as an issue. So trying to help them get to the point that they understand that something else has to be done. That's, for me, that's the most difficult thing, because you don't want to tell someone, hey, you need this. You want them to understand it because they have to have some buy-in. They have to understand that I can't fix your recovery issue. You have to. But having that buy-in to say that they're willing and wanting to do it, that's sometimes the most difficult part for me.
Thank you so much, Khalil.
Boy, I can follow up like with, you asked why it was just so difficult, or what do we do?
What?
Sorry.
No, what do you find challenging in helping folks that are in recovery when they don't think want to do that anymore?
I think the most challenging is when someone is in complete denial, and depending on what stage they are, because there's 5 different stages of recovery. And so for me, what I do, I guess I ask a lot of questions. And most of the time, if I'm working with someone and I already know clearly that they are in denial and can just unable to identify that there's a substance use disorder there, I change my focus, and I start focusing on some other things, like I start asking simple questions like, so what happened in your life? Tell me what happened to where you don't trust people.
There you go.
Because there's a reason. It could be just trauma. Sometimes it could be trauma, the fear, connecting to the system, not being able to identify with who you're looking at, someone that you don't see anybody that's familiar to you. There's a lot of other reasons. I say denial, but then there's always 50 other reasons behind that denial.
Right.
But once you can find out what that is and then roll with that, just roll with it, with that process. But it's frustrating sometimes because it can be ongoing. It could be a year before somebody realizes that, hey, maybe I do need some services. But I think maybe focusing on another service first. That's my feedback. I don't know. I mean, you guys think.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Justin?
I think those are great answers. I would add, for me personally, I mean, my own expectations for people are always a challenge. I mean, getting out of myself and making sure that it's that I don't go too far in any direction, right? Like, I mean, there's this part of me that wants to give everything to everyone, and sometimes that's harmful, and so I need to curb that impulse. I think I don't know. I'm just gonna speak for myself, I guess, but hopefully this is relatable. Like, sometimes you just want to shake people, right? And be like, get a hold of yourself, and that's obviously not helpful. So being the best version of myself, I think, is always a challenge. And you address that by meeting people where they're at, and matching your expectations to reality, or just discarding your expectations altogether is probably the best way to approach this. But I'm a human being, so self is always something that I look to work on first.
Yeah. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to just go ahead and thank you guys very, very much for your kindness, and your generosity for joining us, and everybody else. I'd like to thank you, but I want to give Rod a second to.
Well, we have another presentation, so I just want to make sure people aren't signing off, because Faces and Voices is doing a slide presentation right after this, so please stay on. We're just bumping off the feisty talkative ones, I think. I don't know if Chris is talkative or not, I should know. So that's all I just wanted to say, was that we have another part of the presentation.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, can I go real quick? I was going to say something. My bad.
No, go ahead, please, Gino.
Leave
Hey.
$10 in the chat box.
Nah, all right, I'll Venmo you that. No, hey, I wanted to say first of all, thank you guys so much. At Second Chance Setter, you guys are truly amazing. We've worked with you guys so much in the past, like through our work at Hazelbrook. And I just know personally for a fact you guys help so many people. Just the people and you guys have sponsored to come through our program alone has just been so many. And I know you guys really like truly go to bat for them. Like you guys just case managers and stuff like really like are involved and really go to bat for all the individuals. You guys don't just like, oh, here's a place, here's a bed. You guys truly stay involved. And so thank you guys for sure. It's definitely very impactful. My question was, with a lot of times, like, myself, I got out of prison myself too, and I was really reluctant to try to reach out for help. I definitely was in denial about, substance abuse. And even then when I wasn't in denial, like I knew I had it, I was still very reluctant to reach out for help and, go to like the groups and whatnot they were offering me. Like I hated it, parole was like, oh, you have to go to these classes, these groups. And it was like the most miserable thing. And I hated it. So I guess like in your guys' experience, my question is, what have you guys found that gets the most buy-in from individuals to really like invest in their recovery and just get engaged? I think like with Paradigm One, that's kind of what we're seeking to do, is create like a cool, fun way, rather than just having to sit in like groups and stuff. We just kind of like create a cool, fun way. And I just wanted to like get your guys' input on like what you guys have found to be successful.
Thank you, Gino.
I can answer that, but I'm gonna let Justin jump in there. He looks like he's itching to reply.
You're unmuted.
I mean, there are a million different like ways to get buy-in, but it is always a challenge, of course, right? I mean, I personally am a fan of conversations about goal setting and envisioning the future, like a different future, right? Like, and then breaking down steps necessary to achieve those things into manageable pieces, right? And frequently, like, I mean, just to sort of hack it a little bit, right? Like, if it's a 16-step process, set up steps 2 and 3 as things that have already been accomplished, right? Like, so you can be like, look, you've made this progress, you've gotten this far, let's keep on going, like, why stop now, right? And you can always draw back, overcoming, the steps that need to be accomplished to achieve whatever goal that is. Draw from a person's strengths and things they've already achieved, like there's no way that like a person's like most challenging experience or the only challenging experience, I'm sorry, that they've been through is the one they're currently facing. So when you draw people's memories back to the things that they've already accomplished, whether that's getting out of prison or anything for that matter, you'd be like, look, you've done this sort of things before. You have been successful before. Like, let's work through what the steps were that you took to undergo that. And let's just translate those skills over to this, because clearly you got the strength to accomplish whatever it is you're talking about. I mean, that's just one of the ways I like to do that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good for sure. Just being like focused on strengths and things like that. I like that. Yeah, we're really big on goal setting too. I read this thing that really that's like as far as like human happiness and joy is like truly based on setting goals and achieving them and making progress. And that's really like a source of real joy. So constantly, whether they're just small little goals, or large goals, but just constantly making progress and showing that, I think is huge.
Well, we've got 30 seconds left. Looks like Natalia has a question. Natalia, would you mind putting that in the chat box? And then I wanted you guys to see that we've got a book. It's called The Go Guide, Getting On After Getting Out. And so if you have questions about how reentry works, or how prison works for that matter, and how to navigate those systems, just get in touch with me and I can get you one of these. But I want to thank everybody.
I will forward everyone's contact info to every email that's in the chat room. So if you haven't signed in as a sort of, or put your email in the chat box as a sign-in sort of sheet, please do. And I'll send everybody a copy of their contact info and some other things. Thank you. Corinthia. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Pam. And who's that other guy? Oh, Khalil.
Cleo.
Thank you. Thank you. DJ D Smooth. Thank you very much. He's going to be spinning records, I think, or playing records in at Rico in August, I think, in September. So we're looking
Yeah.
forward to that. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. All right, and so now I don't really have a bio because we lucked out and got Christopher Ronquist at the last minute. So I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Was there
go
a
ahead.
question? Sorry, I thought Natalia had a
Oh,
question.
Natalia had one more question. Sorry. Go.
I don't know. But I was waiting to see what it was, unless it's in the chat.
I was gonna type it. It was kind of a long question, but I might.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for this presentation. It's incredible, and y'all are doing some really seriously wonderful work. My question, I want to see if it will make sense, but is it easier for people to find a job through your agencies? In other words, do you offer them credibility as they're looking for a job? Because obviously they have a record, they have a criminal record now, so that's going to be an obstacle. But working through y'all, is that a way for them to get credibility? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. So do we kind of, I want to say basically co-sign or write a letter of support, depending on if they're engaged, really engaged in services, working with their care manager. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will let Justin, because I can't speak for Second Chance, but I'm pretty sure they do. So yeah, we support them in every process, every step of that process. Yeah, we do with the women.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would second that. Absolutely. We spend quite a bit of time, vetting employers, right, and then establishing relationships with them so that it's not like a cold call from the participant, so we can do a warm handoff with employers. Obviously our network needs to expand quickly, but it's an ongoing process. And again, this is part of us bringing things in house. Right now we have a relationship with maybe a dozen places, which we've sat down with, explained the kinds of records that they're going to be seeing from people that we refer there. And gotten the green light so that we can go ahead and not waste anybody's time and give people. I mean, I got denied for a job when I first got out at Good Times Burgers, and I remember thinking wow, I am scum. I can't I can't do this. So we do a good job of taking care of that.
Thanks, Justin, and thanks, Natalia. So Christopher Ronquist, hello, welcome, almost to Colorado.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? So yeah, almost to Colorado. So let me tell you about that. I get to travel a little bit, in this line of work, mostly in-state stuff, but every once in a while I'll luck up, hit the jackpot, get to go somewhere cool. So when I got the email for the invite the other day to present, the first thing I saw was Colorado, and I was like, what? Yeah, what? I ain't been to Colorado in a couple of years, man. I want to get there, dude. But speaking of traveling, I literally just got off the road 30 minutes ago. I've been driving, I've basically been in my car for the last 2 days. So if I look like I've got bags under my eyes, that's because I do. They're real. But you know what though? I know when I was first introduced to recovery, I know people went above and beyond. They went through whatever they had to show me the life that was shown to them. So I do it the same way. So yeah, my name is Chris Ronquist. Everybody calls me Cricket. I know, weird name, weird mom, the end. That's the end of this. There's really no cool facts behind that, but you're welcome to call me Cricket too. That's what I'm referred to at work and in the recovery community and with my family. I am a person in sustained recovery from substance use disorder. Got just a little over, I've got just right around about 4.5 years of continued recovery. This isn't my first time in recovery. This is just the longest time I've had in recovery. So far, so good. I feel pretty good about that. I am the assistant director of operations at the McShin Foundation. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's in Richmond, Virginia. And John Shinholzer is the president and co-founder. And he literally said, this is something that he wants me to do, was present to you guys. Now, look, full disclaimer, I ain't the best presenter. And when it comes to technical stuff, I'm the worst. So I'm glad somebody else is going to be operating this PowerPoint, because otherwise You guys would just hear me talking for an hour and a half. And, you're still going to hear me talking for an hour and a half. I can do that easily. But also with the PowerPoint that we're going to do, I do want to give you a heads up. There's a couple video clips in there. I think one of them is like 7 minutes long. I think that's the longest one. One of them is probably 3 minutes long, and then there's another one 5 or 6 minutes, something like that. But I think they're important and they're relevant to this topic of reentry, which is very important to me because like I'm not only the the reentry specialist at McShin Foundation, but I mean I'm like one of their first reentry clients. So a little bit about me. I ran away from home at 14 and I started doing whatever I had to do to have somewhere to sleep that night or buy clothes because I was still growing. And I bounced around a lot. And while I was bouncing around, I was introduced to drugs and alcohol and that whole scene. And of course, 14-year-old impressionable, homeless kid. I basically got sucked into that whole lifestyle. It really didn't take long either. But as a result, I started doing whatever, how we do, man. I started doing whatever illegal or immoral acts that I had to do to get the next one. And most of the time it was illegal. And as soon as I was old enough to get incarcerated, I started getting incarcerated. The last time I was incarcerated, which thank God it was the last time, was almost 6 years ago. And and this number's going to sound crazy, but that was my 64th time being incarcerated. And the longest I had ever made it on the streets was, my average was about 30 to 45 days on the streets before I would catch another charge and get locked back up. I made it 4 months one time, but that's only because I met this girl that lived out in the country. She was able to have me good. I'm just being honest with you. I was introduced to recovery while incarcerated this last time in 2015. And I was introduced to it by the McShin Foundation, who came into the jail that I was at the time and started a substance use program. And I mean, they came in there and they were peers. And like when they started talking, let me just say this. I have had weak attempts at all kinds of other ways to recovery. My parents and my family, they tried to love me to health. The courts, they tried to punish me out of my addiction. I've been to church and I tried to pray my way out of it, and nothing works. Everything that I always tried up until that point did not work for me. Like I always end up doing the same things I'd always done. And these guys came in, man, and I'd never been exposed to the peer approach. These guys came in and within minutes of them opening their mouths and telling their stories, like I thought, boom, like, all right, I get it. And these people that are coming in this jail, they've been in my shoes, man. And they're not faking it. Like I could tell some of the things they're saying, I could tell that they know exactly what it's like to walk in the shoes that I've walked in for the last 20 years. The only difference is now they're walking in better shoes. So it grabbed my attention. And it was like, this ain't nobody like teaching at me or preaching at me or trying to like teach me something that they learned from a book, which they're all good things too. Don't get me wrong, but it just never sat with me. It just never. Now, to be honest with you, I always had a little voice in the back of my head say, yeah, he's smart, Dad. That's really valuable information. But you know what? He don't know what it's like to be willing to do whatever you got to do to get the next one. You know what? He don't know what it's like to have to go to see the PO on Thursday and on Tuesday night argue with yourself internally about whether or not to take that next hit. But these people, these peers that were coming in, they knew. Like I could tell they were authentic. So it was attractive to me. And you know what? I did pretty well in that program. And I did something different that time after incarceration than I had ever done previously. And I got out of my way and I started letting those peers tell me how they did it. And I started mimicking them. And thankfully, the promises that they made me, they guaranteed me this. They said, look, if you just get out you get out of cricket's way, man, and try it our way. Like you give it your best shot, and you're probably gonna have a life better than one you could ever imagine. And I mean, and that's proven to be true for me. Now I got a good imagination. Don't get me wrong. I still don't have the Maserati I want or the mansion on the hill, you know, but I could get it one day. I don't know. But the life I do have is better than one that I ever imagined I'd have. My kids look up to me. They trust me. I pay all my bills. I've got my own house. I don't have some girl's name on the lease. Like it's mine. I've got a couple vehicles, one of which was a birthday gift to my mom. I surprised her for a birthday. Like I feel pretty good about the life I'm living, and it's definitely one that I never imagined I'd be living. So I get out of jail. I come to the McShin Foundation. I do what they're doing, and recovery's starting to feel pretty good to me. And you know, life's changing, and honestly, it was changing rather quickly. And they offered me a job as a reentry specialist because of my experience. And you know, who knew that I'd be able to use my life experience to not only help other people like me find something different, but to you know, have a sustainable income by doing it. I ain't getting rich, and none of us are, but you know, I feel good about what I'm doing, and I have enough, and that's good enough for me. You know, recovery's been crazy to me. Like I said, I've been incarcerated 64 times. 9 of those were felony convictions at different times in my life. You know, I'm a nine-time convicted felon. I never thought I'd ever see a day in my life. I had accepted the fact decades ago that I'm going to spend my life in prison, or I'm gonna die getting high, or you know, robbery gone bad, or whatever. You know, I had accepted that fate decades ago, honestly. And never in a million years did I think I'd be not living in jail or prison, you know, for one thing. But the reality is like, not only do I no longer live in jail or prison, but I'm able to walk in and out of any jail or prison in the country, you know, that'll have me pre-COVID. And not only that, but they ask me to, like, they ask me like, hey, Cricket, can you please come tell your story? It's crazy. It's mind blowing to me. So that's kind of my brief recovery story, a little bit about myself. I think reentry, you know, it's important to me because if I wasn't exposed to a good squad of reentry peers, I wouldn't be reentering. I'd be still where I was. So I think I'm not sure who's operating the slide. I hope somebody is.
It's me. Okay, hang on. Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, let's crank it up. Let's see what we got.
Okay, did I get it or not? Okay, I missed it. Sorry. Where did we go? There we go. There we go. There you are, sir.
All right. That's just our cover page. You can go to the next one. Thank you. Look at that, mug shots everywhere, man. There's actually 6 of them, but that's all that would fit in the pic. But look at that dude, man. I mean, come on. I mean, I know I ain't much better looking than I was back then, but I'm definitely healthier looking. Y'all got to give me credit for that. But you know, I've probably got 8 of those total that I have somehow or another kept over the years, and I keep them on my desk in my office, because a lot of times the peers that we're helping and the reentry participants that we're helping, like they come in, and I remember it from my own experience, like they come in and they see these people sitting in these, you know, these offices, and they're teaching them about recovery and stuff, and only thing they see is the finished product. Like a lot of times they don't see, like, dang, look where this dude came from. So I keep them right there on my desk, man. Yeah, look, dude, you know, welcome home. I'm glad you got out of jail. This is, you know, I've been there. Like, here you go. This is what I used to look like. And you know, and those 8 ID cards that I have, you know, they're over a span of however long it was, 15 years probably. But in 1995, I got my first, actually, it was my second arrest when I was 15 years old. And it was my first drug charge. It was possession of marijuana. And the judge court ordered me to go to 12-step meetings. So that, 1995, that was kind of my first engagement with the criminal justice system. I had a prior arrest, but it was kind of handled like behind the scenes. 1995, my first engagement with the criminal justice system and with recovery. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I was a kid. I was 15 years old. They made me go to these meetings, and I went in there. I was by far the youngest person in there. And like looking back, it's like I felt like everybody in the room was 40 years older than me, which isn't true. But when you're 15, everybody looks like they're 40 years older than you. And really, like, I was intimidated by them, and they were living these awesome lives. And like, honestly, I thought half of them were lying and faking it. But I went probably to half of them that the court ordered me to go to, and then I ended up getting punished for not doing it. But I got that on there because that is my first exposure. That is my first engagement. And I'm not going to say that those sessions were lost on me completely, because I heard some things, and some of those, what we call old timers, like some of those old timers gave me some pretty good tidbits. One of them, I'll never forget it, man. It's this guy. I think he said something about probably being in recovery for 20 some years back then. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but I remember what he said has stuck with me through all these years. He said, "Listen, Cricket, young man, listen, you got to go slow so you can go some more. Like, you got to sit down." He said, "You got to go slow so you can go some more." And yeah, for a 15-year-old, it's kind of catchy because it rhymes and all that. But like, wow, man, I found myself telling my clients, "Look, man, slow down. Like go slow so you can go some more. Like, we're not running a sprint. Like, this is, hopefully we're gonna be in recovery for the long haul. And you got to kind of pace yourself." So that dropped off. I only did it because the court told me to do it. And then, like I said, I wasn't like really engaged until 2015. So since then, I've been engaged in the reentry participants. Like I told y'all, McShin Foundation hired me as the reentry specialist. And I started to be the manager director of the jail programs that, not only changed my life, but saved my life. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely been fruitful. You guys, I'm sure some of you know, like I said, none of us are getting rich, but God, it's I tell you, man, it's my dream job. I've never experienced anything more fulfilling in my life to be able to see that light go off in our participants' eyes. Currently, and since 2018, I'm the project director of a SAMHSA B Corps grant, Building Communities of Recovery grant, which has allowed us to start up 2 new jail programs. Well, they're not new now, they were new then. But one of them is in the video footage of what we're getting ready to see. It was pretty cool. I came to McShin out of jail. I relapsed after about 15 months. Ended up going to California to a treatment program. Got back into recovery. Got clean. Started doing good again. And when I was about a year and a half in to recovery this time, McShin Foundation asked me if I'd be interested in moving back to Virginia to direct this program. And when I found out that it was like developing, creating, implementing, operating, overseeing jail programs, I said, you know what? Yeah, because I know how to develop a program, because I know it ain't but one program that ever like showed me that recovery is possible for me. We can see what the next slide is. Reentry begins in the community. So, like, for us, man, it's like, I had no idea. Like, when I was sitting in jail, I had no idea all of the stuff that went, that was going on behind the scenes. But the only thing I saw was these facilitators, these peers coming into the jail, and they were sharing their experience, strength, and hope, and and facilitating groups and teaching classes and all that. And I appreciated that, but that's all I saw. I had no idea, absolutely no idea how much work they were doing before they ever got there. I had no idea how that they were going to court, they were testifying, on people's behalf. I had no idea that they were in close contact as they are with pretrial, community corrections, probation, law enforcement officers. Like, I mean, these peers, they were getting it in. They were literally getting it in out there. They were working. What I was seeing was 20% of their work. What they were doing with all that was the majority. That was the 80% of the work. And they were getting it in. And it feels good to be able to get out and see that, because it just makes me appreciate my experience in that jail with those peers coming in. It makes me appreciate that a whole lot more. So, of course, relationships, word of mouth, profession, peers in this space, always engaging and what happened? And developing trust and relationships to guide and suggest practical solutions in every aspect of recovery and harm reduction. Listen, it's like I said, behind the scenes, man, they were working their butts off. Reentry begins in the community. Now, if we don't put together a plan, or be able to know how to help them, we're not going to probably be able to help them. But let's go ahead and watch this video clip right here. I think this is the one that's 6 minutes. Whenever you get it pulled up, you go ahead and play it.
Yep, there we go. I'm almost there. Box is checked. I forgot to back. There we go.
So here we are. It's on the eve of doing some cool documentary shooting over at RSW. Mm-hmm. You've been up there, what, a year and a half?
We've been up there a year, 13 months was in there.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So when we first went up there, what were your first thoughts? Remember that day we were riding up down at 5 and I was trying to show you how we're going to do a talk program?
I remember it like it was yesterday.
All right, America, listen up. August 21st, 2018. Take 2. I never take 2 either, by the way. I'm always a first taker. But I insulted Cricket, so we had to start over. Here we go again. You want to take 3? You want to get moving with this? Anyway,
going, man.
We're en route to start a new jail program in Virginia, something McShin Foundation does really good. First step, you got to have somebody knows how to facilitate that message of hope inside correction, and Cricket, one of the best hope dealers I know. Step 2, find a jail that's interested in implementing an authentic recovery community organization. Step 3, line up the meeting and the appointment, go talk to them and get the logistics straight. That's what we're doing today. Anytime you go north on 95, you get traffic, don't you?
Yeah,
there's no way around that. Anyway, this is the things we go to and through to carry that message of hope to those in a correctional environment.
Whatever it takes.
That's right, whatever it takes. We would drive through the traffic, get drugs, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we?
Walk through it.
We'd walk through it. So it ain't nothing to go 100 miles to carry that message of hope. Actually, it might be over 100. Anyways, more later, America. Anything you want to add, Cricket?
Nope.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Pretty smile, nothing?
Yeah.
There you go. Handsome Cricket. Later, gang.
Just knowing that somebody has been there automatically connects them with hope. And I believe in that strongly. And so I wanted to be a part of it. And that's in essence what our program is about. The recovery connection that we do here is also accredited through the Virginia Association of Recovery Residences, which is
What jail we in?
RSW Regional Jail.
RSW. What's RSW?
Rappahannock, Shenandoah, and Warren.
And you the superintendent?
Yes, sir.
I'm sitting here with the superintendent, Matt Lauer looking like the second in command. Now, I must admit, between you guys, I've never seen such beautiful radio faces in all my life, man. in one gathering. You excited about us coming in here starting a program?
Absolutely. We've been waiting a long time to try to get something like this initiated for this facility, so we're very excited and hopefully see some progress here real soon.
I couldn't be more thrilled, and I just met this fella, but you seem happy.
I am.
Very happy.
Very happy. Yeah, it looks like a promising program. Looking forward to it.
We're gonna hunt down some local facilitator material, train them, and we're gonna probably hopefully start in a few weeks. So we're all excited, we're motivated, we got the green light. My man, anything else?
No, sir.
This is what it looks like, America. Anybody can go out and start a recovery, community-oriented system of care inside a correctional environment.
This door is not going, but it's not after shots.
How y'all doing today?
Good.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Who gets out next? Who? You get out next? Where you going? Really? I'm gonna give them notice. So, I don't know, man. We got a bunch of. Watch what I'm saying, man. Everything's being recorded, man. Clearly y'all know Diana, right? And Cricket. They nice?
Yeah.
They're amazing. Did you hear that? Y'all are amazing. They give you hope. They hope dealers.
Yes, they are.
That's what we do more than anything. We deal in hope. You want some hope today?
Yes.
Well, here's the deal. There's not a one of you in here that can't launch in your recovery and do well. That I'm certain of, but it's up to the individual what that looks like and how it works. You know how hard it is to come to jail and sit here with a bunch of ladies all day long, listen to one another, complain and whine, but you talk about dreams and aspirations. You talk about what it was like. Some of you in your head, you're probably still in the game. You know, you just kind of in here doing your time. You're not quite sure how it's going to work out, right? You're still excited about going back to Romeo in some people's cases. You know, some of y'all got kids, right? How many of y'all got kids? Good Lord, that's a bunch of y'all. You know you want to get back to your kids, right? You got to miss your kids. When I was a single parent, raising my child, I didn't want to leave my child for an hour. Or less for weeks and months on end. But just a little background on what we're doing. We're just trying to capture through film correctional experience for somebody in recovery, seeking recovery. We want to capture the experience of an institution, RSW, that let us up in here to do what we do. We want to capture the experience of facilitators / hope dealers like Diana and Cricket and Huey. We want to capture the experience of what it's like for the participants to come through here. And this is going to be an ongoing project for decades to come, okay? You know, y'all watch TV, y'all see what the entertainment world's putting out there. We want to put, I don't want to call it reality, but real. And, you know, I'm big on history. You know, we're in a recovery movement right now in the United States of America. We spent the last 30, 40 years building up systems and cultures designed to capture, incarcerate, hoping that would get the job done, reform people. But what we've discovered over the last 30 years that we're missing the opportunity to humanize the correction experience for those with substance use disorders / mental illnesses. And science is scientific fact that if you take an addict, an alcoholic, a mentally ill person in a correctional environment, if you can humanize that experience, the more you can humanize that experience and educate this population, the better result you're going to get when they re-enter into the community. You follow what I'm saying? You know, this institution's gone out on a limb for us. You know, y'all went out on a limb, I guess, for your disease, you know. We agree to come into this unit and act as one, come together, align ourselves with all the encompassed principles I just spoke about.
You know, I tell you, I'd like to emphasize on the fact about what John was just talking about, humanizing the population in there. I know for me, like that's what it was. I mean, that was like the big thing for me. So you can see like in that little clip right there, that jail, RCW Regional Jail, they when they allowed us to start a drug program there, they essentially gave us the green light to tell them exactly how we wanted to do it. And what you see there is the pod that they actually live in. So they gave us a men's pod and they gave us a women's pod. Their bunks are there. That, you know, this is where they live, you know, essentially. And so, you know, we prefer to do our classes right there in the day room that they live in. And I'll tell you the impact that had on me, you know, because up until that point, like I said, I'd been locked up so many times. Up until that point, like I was really, like I felt like a number. I was treated like a number. It was just like, you know, same thing day in and day out. Trays, stand behind that line. Why ain't your bed made? You know, stuff like that. And then, you know, enter the McShin Foundation and the peers that they brought in with them. And it was like, you know, they talked to me like I wasn't an inmate. They talked to me like I was a person suffering from a substance use disorder. And they humanized me. For the first time ever in my life, I was incarcerated and I felt like I was being treated like a human instead of a number. And I can't even put into words like the impact that had on me. Let's go to the next slide if we can find it.
The next video,
No, the slide.
this one.
It is incorrections. We lost it somehow. Oh, there it is right here, incorrections. So what you saw is kind of like a brief snippet of we call it hope dealing. I mean, because that's basically what it is. I know for me and most of the people that I've ever been incarcerated with, like we get in there, and especially repeat offenders, it's like, man, we hope, like, dude, I don't got no hope of doing nothing different. Like I told y'all, I had accepted years ago that this was my fate. Good news, man. Like as far as like reaching them while they're in there, I mean, it's a captive audience. Like all of our programs are like volunteer. Like you got to sign up for our program. The jail ain't gonna make you come to our program. The judge ain't gonna sentence you to while you're incarcerated. You got to go to the McShin program. Every one of them are voluntary because we want people in there that at least interested in doing something different. But while they're in there, like they're there, like they live there. So they're a captive audience, you know, and we get in there and 95% of the people, and we've so far just in this project alone that's been going on since 2018, there's been thousands literally because the turnover rate is so high in the jails and prisons we work in. That we've out of the thousands that we've served, 95% of them have been captive. They've been engaged. I think it's a good platform for offering peer services myself. And I know it worked for me, and I get to watch it work for these guys that we're delivering it to now. But when we go in there, I think you're going to see in this next clip, I mean, we're authentic. I mean, when we deliver our peer services in there, I mean, we're as authentic as we can be. You know, it says at the bottom of that slide we were just on, like, keep it real. Like, that's what we do, you know, because listen, the guys and girls that's in there, like, most of them, or most of us, I say, you know, that have been in and out of the criminal justice system, like we're experienced in manipulation and we're experienced in, you know, lying and all that. So if somebody comes in there trying to offer peer services, peer recovery services, and they're not keeping it real, the clients, the inmates are going to see right through that, and then the message is going to get lost. Let's watch this one real quick. This one's 4 minutes.
Well, it's always been the desire since this facility opened in 2014 that we offer, more programs than what the old jails did. Before this facility was open as a regional jail, they had small local jails that were sheriff ran, and they just weren't. Most of them were built, prior to 1950, and they just didn't have the ability or the space to provide, programs for whatever the need was, for substance abuse or GED or whatever. So with this facility, that was always in their mind when it was designed to provide those spaces and have the ability to do that. For us on the security side, it's always better if we can do more things inside the unit than having to move people to a classroom. So for us operationally, it was a good thing. It was a little, kind of unnerving not knowing, because it was you guys are very much peer support. So, I've got people that were prior substance abuse users, going into the unit. So,
A red flag.
a little red flag, a little, hair standing up on the back of your neck at first, but, it's kind of trust but verify kind of thing. So we trusted you, and it's been a good experience. We haven't had any issues up to this point with that. So I think this program has been a blessing for the communities that serve. I think it's something that, they've wanted, for a long time. There's no question about it. This area has a real, issue with substance abuse, and unfortunately, those people wind up here.
Look at Cricket pretending to be able to read. Ain't no pictures on his face. Great.
We're ready. We're ready.
Welcome to the pod, y'all. Look, it's kind of weird in here. Y'all done time before? Y'all have been locked up before? You? And juvie? Hey, juvie's a whole lot harder than this one.
Hey, you ain't in juvie no more, boy! Always wanted to say that, man.
Juvie's hard time, for real, man. Juvie's hard time, for real. Welcome to the pod, man. This is a different way of doing time, man. Hopefully you'll utilize the time that you're in here for however long that is. Hopefully you'll utilize that to where you don't have to come back again. And that's my story. Like, I was locked up most of my adult life until the McShin Foundation came in. They started a program exactly like this one. And I let some of that stuff sink in. And then when I got out, I got right there, dead center. And I ain't been bit by a shark in quite a while, man. What if I gave you $10 million to relapse today? Oh, can I keep my job? You know what? Fuck the job. Write the check. That's a reservation. I will use for that $10 million check. To be honest with you, I'll probably do it for $1 million. I might do it for half of that. I don't fucking know. But I do know this. I will use despite knowing that I got adverse consequences coming right behind it. My track record will honestly and accurately reflect that when I fucking use drugs or alcohol, any mood, Xanax, any mood, mind-altering substance, I do abuse it and I do suffer adverse consequences, and I mean sometimes immediately. The good news is, however, is that because I am no longer my disease's I ain't got to do what it tells me to do. I want to, but I thank God I ain't got to. Like, I ain't got to, and y'all don't either, man. Y'all have been freed from the restraints of your active illness. Y'all, this is a brief refrain for y'all. It's up to y'all what y'all do with it. You can nourish your recovery, or you can nourish your disease. That's really the only two options you got. Ain't that what they tell us did? We ain't working on our recovery, we're working on a relapse. Now, I guess I should have probably said before we started playing these clips that we did the best job we could to bleep out bad words. I apologize for that. But I told y'all in the beginning I ain't the best presenter, so that was my disclaimer. You know, we go in there, man, and we try to be as authentic as we can. We speak to the audience, and what you don't see is that when you know, when behind the camera, like we tell the guys, listen, and especially me, like I tell them, look, I ain't smoked no crack, did no drug, I ain't stole nobody's shit, I ain't, it's a lot of things I haven't done in years. Cussing's one thing that I ain't let go yet, but if it offends you, like I will adjust accordingly. And what I found in the correctional setting is they appreciate you being able to speak candidly with them. So I gotta tell you, man, that particular program right there, we've seen countless people come out. They get out in this area where this is, there really is not a whole lot of recovery available. So a lot of these guys, this is their very first encounter, very first interaction, very first engagement. And it's been pretty successful there. But what John was talking about in the other clip, when we first started the program, he said, so this is what we're going to do. He said, what we'll do, because it's not near us, it's a 3-hour drive one way. So he said, what we'll do is we'll reach out to the recovery community out here. We'll gather up some peers and we'll get some facilitators, locally that'll be willing to come in. And that's proven to be, as far as inside the walls, that's proven to be our most successful method, rather than it being one peer or one instructor or one mentor going in 5 days a week, which we do go in 5 days a week. We found it's best to deliver a variety of facilitators, a variety of peers, a variety of mentors. That way, if everybody don't get tired of hearing the same person talk, or maybe that one person, that one peer that comes in will be able to, somebody will be able to identify with that person more than they can the rest. But I kind of, we've only been going for 40 minutes. I got another 40 minutes to go, I think, before I open the floor up for questions. But if anybody has any questions so far about anything they've seen or heard or anything I've said, I think if that's cool with everybody, we can open it up if anybody wants to ask any questions at this point or any comments.
Hey, Cricket, this is Dominique. I'm a woman in recovery, and I work as the court and jail reintegration coordinator at Springs Recovery Connection down here in the Springs, Colorado Springs. And I've been talking to your boss, John Schinholzer. He was nice enough to send us over that curriculum. We continue to struggle with getting, any type of conversation with the sheriff so that we can get in the walls. Is there any suggestions you might have for us?
Yeah, is my mic still on? Yeah. Listen, Dominique, it's crazy. Like, you would think they'd be like sheriffs and superintendents of these jails, you think they'd be begging, us, the recovery community, recovery peer professional, to help them with this problem of recidivism and overcrowding of the jail. Like, but they don't. It's almost like you gotta almost beg them. Look, let me show you. Let me show you. It's gonna have a positive impact on your jail. See, the truth is, and it's an ugly truth, but the truth is, Dominique, and you know this, you've been in the game long enough, that some of them don't want to decrease the recidivism rate. Some of them don't, and I don't know if Russ Gilkison, the superintendent of that jail, I don't know if in that last clip we just watched, I don't know if he said it in that clip, but I know I've got him on video saying that his first 30 years in the profession, he had a lock them up, throw away the key mentality. Right. Like that's, and you know what? He ain't alone. Most of them, unfortunately, I ain't gonna say most of them, but a lot of them, the sheriffs, and they don't either believe in recovery or they don't want the recidivism rate to decrease. And it sucks, you know, every once in a while you'll find one though, but my suggestion is don't give up. So for this project, this B Corps project from the SAMHSA grant that we're currently on, they told us, look, we'll give you funding. You got to come up with 2 jails other than the jails that you're currently working in. You got to come up with 2 additional jails by the close of business tomorrow to at least agree to entertain the idea of you discuss, at least agree to a meeting for you to discuss offering y'all services in their jail. You get them to sign an MOU, we'll give you the funding. And listen, girl, let me tell you, we called a shitload of them before we got. I mean, it was crazy, and you know, we're in Henrico County, and Henrico County's got 2 jails. They've got Jail East and Jail West, and they're both really big. And, you know, and we're a mile and a half away from headquarters in the county that we operate in. And they won't have it. Like they, you know, our home, like in the Springs, you know, like ideally it's like, look, this is where we work. This is our home base. We got this awesome network of peers that's willing to offer us all this valuable information to help your population. Like, let us show you. And, you know, it's almost like it's like, it's hometown. This is home base. Like I want home base to be strong, but like, look, girl, they wouldn't let us in our own county either. You know, and it was disheartening. It was like, damn, like I'm telling you, man, like what we're offering is like Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Y'all just don't know it. You know, let us take you to the chocolate factory, man. You're gonna fucking love it here. You know, but they ain't want to, you know, they just won't, they weren't open. Now, since that sheriff is gone now, and the new sheriff they have there now absolutely loves us. And I'm currently because of COVID, I don't have a pod in there yet, but I am currently, they're allowing me to go in and meet with their female population for now. We're just now starting a couple of weeks ago, but my suggestion is don't give up, look outside the box. I mean, like it's important for reentry that we're able to get to them while they're in there, you know, and I hate to use that word captivated, but that's what it is. You're captivated, they're sitting there. And I'm telling you, man, if any of you guys have been locked up, and I heard when I logged in that a few of you have been locked up before, it's fucking boring in there. Like it's boring in there. I mean, you can't read but so many books. You can't make but so many swolls or shingdings with your commissary. You know, your people ain't gonna answer the phone but so many times. You can't sit on the phone all day long. Like you can't go outside unless they let you outside. You run out of shit to do in there. Now some of us, we get to be pretty good card players and chess players, but other than that, man, like you know, we're captivated. And when peers starting to come in there and wanting to help us and showing us that not only is recovery real, but that it's possible for us, like we listen. Most of us do. So don't give up. Think outside the box. Start looking outside of the Springs. I know it's convenient. It would be easy and it would be wholesome to be able to do something at home base. But, you know, man, sometimes it just don't work like that for none of us.
Right. So we've gone to, you know, since I started full time, we are doing the video visits. Like we do outreach, the video visits. I've got myself and a couple of other peers who have gone through this jail, right? And so we're doing the video visits. We filmed a video to mail into them that they could play, you know, in their R&R groups or whatnot. But yeah, it is the culture. I understand that. There's still just a really crappy culture in there from the staff themselves. So I'm not giving up. I'm not. And we did create a peer-led group called Fresh Out the Gates. So the message is like, if we're not going to be able to connect with you guys while you're, you know, incarcerated, like come and hit us up as soon as you get out. And we're here to help, and the peers are here, and we're doing that every single week. We're doing a barbecue next week. Like we're trying, that's for sure.
I'm sorry, hang in there.
I think I have a question and comment, but I was actually really just what Dominique just asked about this whole, we would call it like the prison industrial complex, right? Which is like a huge phrase. I don't know the ins and outs of it at all, but that knowing that prisons do make money by keeping people in jail and wanting them to come back for even small minor drug offensive. So I was just wondering, do y'all ever like pair up with legal advocacy groups to get help so that you can get into those prisons and get your program there?
That's actually a really good question. I think that it's possible and probably a good thing to do that. Well, I think and like I can only like speak my experience, but like for me, I was lucky. McShin Foundation been around for a while. They're pretty well known, especially in our area. We're really the only organization of our kind in Virginia. I mean, some of them is similar, but we're the only ones that's accredited. So the jails know us by name and they know us by reputation. So like when they hired me on after I left California and came back to start to run these jail programs again, like I inherited their reputation. So it's it's been easier because I'm like literally, and I don't want this to sound messed up, but I'm literally coming in on their coattails. So if I call a jail and say, look, I'm Chris Ronquist, the assistant director of operator of the McShin Foundation. Historically, we've been creating and operating drug programs in jail in the correctional settings since 2004. Like they are, chances are they already know it. So I mean, it's been really, it ain't been easy. Don't get me wrong, but it's been easier than if I tried to move back to Virginia to do this under Chris Ronquist's name. And I'm just speaking candidly with you about that. But yeah, look, this is my rule of thumb. I want to build the biggest network I can possibly build. I want as many peers in my network. I want as many legal advocates. I want as many I want relationships with the community corrections department. I want relationships with the probation office. I want relationships with the Commonwealth attorneys. And I have all that, and I've had to build them. But that's like anything, girl. Yeah. Do I think it'd be easier to seek legal advocacy to help me get into jail? Absolutely. Do I think it's important to do it? 100%. It's important to put as many people in my network as I possibly can, because it ain't about me. Like it ain't about me, and it ain't about them. It ain't about the PO. It ain't about the legal advocacy. It ain't about the sheriff. It ain't about the superintendent. It ain't about none of that. It's about that participant. It's about that inmate that that's tired of coming to jail and wants to do something different. So I just put the squad together, and I never stopped. Like I never stopped looking for more people to put in the squad. I hope that answered your question. It probably didn't, but I hope it did.
No, it did. Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Anybody else? Let's see. Outside the walls. All right. Let me tell you something, man. Well, this is the third and final phase. Let me tell you something. When I was offered the opportunity to do something different this last time I was incarcerated, they met me at the door. Like I didn't, they told me, they said, look, Cricket, if you want something different, you got to do something different. And what I had always done, those other 63 times that I had been released, like I always did the same thing that I always had ever known to do. And that was just to go back out and do what I know how to do best. And that screw my life up, basically. But normally my first stop would be my mom's house. I'd go to mama's because I know mama's always going to let me come there, and I ain't got to worry about paying no rent, and I ain't got to wash the dishes. She going to do all that, and I'll stay there long enough, until I piss her off. She tells me, get out. I'm a grown man. Go, you need to get your life together and all that. But what they told me, what these peers said, look, man, if that's what you've always done, you keep getting the same result. Why don't you try something different, man? Why don't you come to an RCO? Why don't you come to a sober living house? Why don't you let us pick you up from jail? Stop getting the girl to come get you from jail, or you're using buddies or old friends, but let's do something different. And let me tell y'all something, man, they met me at the door. When I was released, they were there. They were there, they picked me up. A peer was there to pick me up, and they did not take me to my mama's to get clothes. They did not take me to the store to get cigarettes. They ain't take me nowhere. We went from the door to the jail to the door to the McShin Foundation. And it was a warm welcome. I mean, listen, they hugged me. Listen, that's exactly what they said. They said, you out now, like, welcome home. They hugged me. Like, this is what recovery is going to look like. We're glad you're here. Now come on, let's go get something to eat, because I know you're tired of eating that shit you've been eating. That's exactly what they said when they picked me up. You know what we did? We stopped at this restaurant about 2 miles up the road from the jail, and they fed me, and they, and I felt kind of weird about it, because I was like, no, are you hungry? And I was like, no, I'm good. We ate this morning. And really what it was I just got y'all don't got no money, man. Like, I don't want to sit in there with y'all good recovery people, man. Y'all got jobs and all that, and ordering whatever you want on the menu. And here I am, I ain't got no money. So like, and I don't want you to know that like I'm broke, but I didn't realize like they already know I'm broke. Like I'm an addict who's just now getting exposed to the recovery process. Like I ain't supposed to have no money. But they took me, they took me out to eat, man. I ordered whatever I wanted. And it was 4 of us, and we sat around the table, we ate, we laughed, and they made me feel good, man. It was a pretty good experience. I was kind of scared. But I felt loved too. I felt comfortable. So they come get me. We'll go out to eat. We get to McShin. They take me to the house that I'm moving into. They assigned me a recovery coach. This was 2015, so we didn't have recovery specialists back then. We didn't have PRSs. We just had like recovery coaches. And they assigned me a recovery coach, and and I took off from there. But so I didn't have anything. Like I literally didn't have anything. I had some stuff that I could have went and got my mom's, that's always there, like old clothes, and mama would have gave me some pillows and some sheets and some blankets, all that kind of stuff. But I also had some drugs there stashed, because I always did, so they knew better. Like they knew that. They knew no, you're not going to mama's. We got you. We'll take care of you. So I get there, man, and I've got food and stuff. They've got food there. They provide linkage to, any kind of medical I needed. They set me up with Medicaid. They gave me a ride, to my appointments and all that stuff. They communicated with my PO for me and with me. But that night, like I didn't have any pillows. The bed that I moved into at this sober living house, like they had sheets and stuff for the new people coming in, but there wasn't any pillows. And like I was like brand new out of jail, and I was too afraid to like ask for anything. So John, he came and picked me up that night to take me to my first meeting on the street, my first 12-step meeting on the street. And after the meeting, he said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, honestly, John, I got to go to mama's house, man. He said, you don't got to go to your fucking mama's for nothing. What you got to go over there for? And I said, he said, spit it out, man. What do you know? I said, I ain't got no pillow. I don't have no pillows. And he said, motherfucker, he said, we'll go to Walmart. I'll buy you a pillow. And I'm like, no, you ain't got to buy me no pillow. Mama got 100 of them. Like, you don't got to buy me no pillow. I'm honestly, at that point, I'm still in the, I'm still like kind of institutionalized. No, you ain't got to buy me nothing, dude. Like, I appreciate it, but I'll be all right. And he said, just, we're going to get you some fucking pillows. So we go to Walmart, man, and like we're walking through the store. He says, get a cart. So I get a cart, and we start, instead of going left in Walmart to go to the bedding section, we go right through the grocery section. And he keeps telling me to throw this stuff in the cart. And really, honestly, I just think he's just got me there as his, like, I would say a word, but I know it's inappropriate, but I'll say like his assistant. But really what I felt like was his B word, because I thought that really he was just had me out there in the middle of the night grocery shopping for himself. He just kept on having me pushing the cart and throwing stuff in his cart for him and all that, man. By the time we made it around the store to the bedding section, I had a whole cart completely full of stuff. And y'all know them big like plastic tubs, they got the lid on where you store stuff in it. I had 2 of them that were also full of stuff, including a couple pillows. I'm pushing the cart. I'm dragging these totes. Now, he ain't helping me. He's talking my head off the whole time, but he's a funny dude. And he's got, you know, he's been in recovery forever. So I'm loving every minute of it, to be honest with you. We get to the register and it's like $300 and some worth of stuff, right? And he said, good God. And he turned back around. And he said, damn, you an expensive date. He said, I ain't even kiss you first. And I said, no, man, you're not buying what? That stuff's not for me. You ain't buying all that for me. And he said, Cricket, he said, you selfish MFer. He said, for 34 years, he'd been in recovery at the time. For 35 fucking years, I've been spending my drug money on newcomers. And you mean to tell me you gonna deprive me of my recovery? And, you know, like it was honestly like profound to me, to be honest with you. And it's a practice. That was my day one at home. That was my day one out of incarceration. And to be honest with you, I put it into practice with every single returning citizen that I've dealt with ever since. Every single one. I pick them up myself when I'm able. You know, I pick them up. If I don't pick them up myself, I send somebody I trust to pick them up. And I take them out to eat. First thing I do is take them out to eat. And whatever they don't have, you know, we figure it out. We make sure they have what they have. Let's start this next video to kind of give you a little glimpse of what that looks like for us. Clip 3. I think it's our last clip, y'all.
Hey, Cricket, what are we doing here this morning?
Well, right now we're waiting on one of our participants from the program in here to get released, and she's being transferred to the McShin Foundation in Richmond to participate in our intensive residential program. Hopefully, continue down the path to a new way of life so she won't have to come back anymore.
At the jail, it's 7 in the morning.
7 a.m.
What's Cody Smallwood think about it?
Hey man, I think it's a beautiful thing, man. Cricket came into the jail, man, in the pod I was in, and he sold me hope, man. First time I messed up, the second time, man, I'm doing what I need to do, and it's beautiful, man, because I'm realizing things in life that I've never realized before. I feel a way I've never felt before, man, and most of all, I can't let myself down, man, so I gotta keep striving for me and what I need in my life.
What are we doing today after we pick this girl up after she gets out of jail?
I gotta go to court. Gotta be in Shenandoah Court, 9 o'clock. I'm facing a couple charges, man. I'm hoping everything goes in a positive way and I can just keep doing what I need to do. And Cricket is here to advocate for me, and I never asked him, but he's willing to do it if it's going to help me, man. So that shows you what great lengths he goes to helping people in their recovery and in their life and what they need to do.
We gotta go to Shenandoah Court. Cody gotta go to court, so I gotta kill 2 birds with one stone since it's so far away. You hungry?
I just ate a tray. For a second, like when I first found out when I was coming home, I thought maybe I was like, I can't take any more time away from my kids, but at the end of the day, like I was like, well, took this much time away from them and my addiction. Like, if it means me getting my shit right,
yeah.
Then what's another few more months,
Yeah, I get it. You know what? Because this is how my brain talks to me, man. My brain, like when I'm in that situation, and I've been there 100 times. When I'm in a situation like that, my brain will try to convince me that it's selfish if I don't go home to my kids. Like, if you don't go home to your kids, you missed all this time. How selfish of you. But the truth is, man, if I go home to my kids, then I'm really being selfish.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving my kids back the same thing I left them. An unfixed Cricket.
I'm excited about this. I feel like it's like definitely a new journey in my life. Yeah. It wasn't until this year when I first came into the drug pod in May that I ever thought that recovery or getting clean was ever an option.
never knew it was a thing until you was introduced to it in that pod.
I never saw it as an option.
So, but you knew it existed. You just didn't.
I got clean one time about 5 years ago, and I got clean for a year, and then relapsed, and I'd been on a relapse since then. But my addiction wasn't as bad as it was then. Back 5 years ago, I wasn't shooting up and stuff, so getting clean was a lot easier. When I relapsed and I started shooting up and stuff, it got crazy. Now, so I mean, the last couple of years, I didn't see getting clean as ever an option to pick from.
I think that you being in that pod initially, the seed was planted, because I know like when shit started to hit the fan for you in your relapse, I know that you talked to the community service board up here.
Yeah.
Who then reached out to me.
Oh yeah, I told him I relapsed. Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Like even if you went home and relapsed, at least you had the opportunity to be exposed to the recovery process.
Yeah.
Get that little shot of hope that maybe recovery is real. Maybe it can work for me. And then when you got into full-fledged relapse mode, like when your back was against the wall, like you knew that there was somebody you could call to try to get some help. I think that's really cool. Long ride, man. Worth every second, though. We're done and go to our lunch.
Hey, Jill.
Okay, Jesse did chase paper. All right, she's doing hers.
Well, I got a copy of the mandatory meetings and visitation policy. Ever been in recovery before?
I've been sober one time for a year, about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Other than that, I've not done any. I've not been clean. I've not been into any treatment services or anything before.
Okay.
So at McShin, like what I like to tell people what McShin is to me, McShin was is a place where it helps me build that foundation of recovery, right? So it gave me an opportunity to find out what my recovery pathway looked like, or what it was going to look like. Either NA, AA, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery, but I had to do the footwork. Meaning I got introduced to the meetings. Have you ever been to an NA meeting or? Okay.
No, only in the pod.
Okay. All right, good. Well, you go to meetings, like I said, and that's where you will find that's where you start to learn what recovery is all about.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm Jesse.
I'm Chase.
All right, welcome. I'm the Chief Operating Officer.
Cool.
All right. That's Bob. He's our next program director.
Hi.
This is Moses. He's our CSAC
Hi.
counselor.
No.
Good to meet you. She just
Good
got out
to meet
of
you.
jail, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, it is great.
Geared up too, man.
There's a lot of women here. Don't worry. You're not going to be surrounded by men. Alright, let's go. And look, if you need anything at all,
Okay.
Hopefully you don't end up in my office.
Okay.
Because when you end up in my office, it means you did something wrong.
Oh, okay.
Do you need toiletries and all that? Okay. All right. Well, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run you down to Matthew.
All right. So you and I are gone.
This is where all the medication's kept, for the most part. Everyone has a house med box like over there. Underneath the personal note box too. And go ahead and drop in the box. Shut it up and you're all set with me.
Went to the house where I'm at. All the girls are great. They're all lovable. We put the tree up last night, and we put the tree up. Everybody started getting in, putting the ornaments on, and it was just a beautiful thing, you know. So, you know, if there's anything, I'm there every day up at the church, and if you feel uncomfortable, or you need to take a break, sad, this, that, you know, all you gotta do is just let me know.
Forensic PRS training.
It's going good, man. It's teaching me a lot of things that I didn't know that I want to learn. It's teaching me how to interact with people better and how I'm supposed to react, and basically what my role is. You know, it's not to enforce or make somebody, you know, do what they supposed to do, but it's to offer them suggestions and basically share my lived experience with them to let them know, you know, whatever you want to do, I'm here with you as long as it's better in you and your recovery, and we're going to do what we need to do to get you there.
Been here a minute, right?
Today makes 22 days.
That's a good time, man. How many times do you relapse since you've been here?
None since I've been here.
None. Even better.
Even better.
Yeah, that's an impressive record.
Yeah.
Well, you're well on your way.
I get there.
Anything extra we can do? Anything we're not doing?
I mean, at the end of the day, anytime I come to the staff, you know, whether it's to talk, whether it's for help, whether it's transportation, you know, whatever it is, everybody, you know, meets my requirements every single time. You know what I mean? Every single time without hesitation. Nobody hesitates to help. And if they can't solve the solution, they'll send me in the right way to where I need to go to make sure I get done whatever it is I need to get done.
Like in the Marine Corps, the problem don't know,
We'll find the help real fast. Yeah, so
all right, well, keep up the good work, man. I'm very proud.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Big Cody. VIP, most improved. Most improved. He came in quiet like we was on some sucking stuff, but then he ain't. You seen him, right? Y'all see the transition. This is the work right here, man.
Thank you, man.
All right. So I lied a little bit. That was longer than 8 minutes. I apologize for that. Continuum of care. Perfect. So can y'all hear me? All right, cool. Why is my screen like this? So first of all, let me say this about those two participants, Cody and Chase. I care about them. They've been when we started that program at RSW, they were both active participants. They did very well in there. They were engaged. You know, it was good. Recovery started to sound like a realistic option for them. They were interested. They wanted to do something different when they got out. So, you know, you can see like Chase, she got out that day. I picked her up just like they did for me. We did end up taking her out to get something to eat. But she said the same thing that I said when I got, I already ate already. Like they gave me a tray this morning. And, you know, we got her set up. We introduced her to all the peers that worked there. She ended up getting assigned a recovery coach. Took her to get her groceries, introduced her to the people in the house she'd be living in. And she chose to leave the next night. Unfortunately, most of us with the disease of addiction or substance use disorder, most of us aren't successful the first time we're introduced to it. Most of us, like, we ain't one-hit wonders. Like, and I'm not a one-hit wonder. Like, I didn't stick for me the first time. And unfortunately, like that, we encounter that frequently. Not always, but frequently we do encounter that. And Chase, Chase decided to leave later that next day, and she relapsed when she, that day when she left. She has since filming been reincarcerated twice. Both times she has been incarcerated, she's been more and more engaged in recovery support services. Like, her engagement level increases each time. Her last release date was almost 3 months ago now, and she she had the opportunity to go to another organization, try to rebuild her foundation in recovery, and unfortunately she hasn't made it back to recovery yet. I did speak to her about a week ago. She's not doing very well. When that happens, look, they call me, hey, look, I'm just glad you're calling me. I'm just glad that you don't think that, like, I'm going to judge you, because I ain't. Like, I don't think, I'm glad that you don't think I'm going to turn my back on you, because I ain't. Like, I get it. I got the same, my brain talks to me the same way yours is talking to you. But I think it's cool that, for the most part, like, they have the moment of clarity enough to reach out to somebody in recovery who cares about them and their recovery. Cody's he's been like a shining star. I mean, look, the dude got out of jail. He had been locked up for I think the first time he was locked up for 18 months or something like that. He got out. He did everything like that his recovery network was suggesting he do. I mean, he's a damn certified PRS. Like, he's killed. Like, he's killed it in his periods of recovery. Unfortunately, he ain't a one-hit wonder either. And like you saw in that video, like, what are we doing? Well, I have court because I have some charges, and Cricket's coming with me to court. That's kind of like with this, with this slide, like the continuum of care, like, hey, be prepared, man. Be prepared to assist in an ongoing navigation. Cause, like, it ain't over. Like, look, man, I ain't putting all this work for it to be over after I buy you lunch when you get out. Like, no, man, like, no, the work's starting. Like, yeah, I've been working. Like, we've been doing a lot. Remember that 80-20 we were talking about? That 20% is what they see, but that 80 is what we really doing. Like, I ain't do that fucking 80 to drop the ball on you after lunch. Like, no, I'm here. Like, I'm gonna navigate you every step of the way that I'm able to navigate you. So that's Cody. Like, his court was, the court that he had to go to that day was 3 hours away from where I live and where I work. And you know what? We made it happen. I took him, I went to court. I didn't go to court and sit in the pew. I went to court. I gave the lawyer my card, told him to put me on the stand if he needed to, if he wanted to. I got on the stand, I advocated for him. Like, this is what my experience with Cody Smallwood is. He was a participant in our jail program. He did very well. He was engaged. He completed all assignments on time. He did a really good job on it. Upon his release, he allowed us to come pick him up from jail. He did not pass go. He did not collect $200. He came straight to our organization, where we put him in a sober living house, where there's other people that live there who have the same goals as him. And these are the things he's done since he's been home. And, the kids, his shit got dismissed. It's like, for me, see, they did that for me too. Like, they did that for me. Like, they didn't leave me alone after they bought me lunch, after they picked me up. They didn't drop the ball after they bought me pillows and groceries. No, it's an ongoing, they've been navigating with me for years. It's 6 years ago. They still got my back. If I need them, I call them and they give me suggestions or they give me advice or they walk with me, if they can. Could be a time sensitive situation. Well, that's everything, man. Listen, if my experience with those, re-entering society who also suffer from a substance use disorder, listen, man, when they asking for help, like that window of opportunity to help them gonna close quick. It's going like that window of opportunity to help somebody asking for help, it's gonna close quick. If they don't get the help that they have got the courage, like it takes courage to ask for help, and especially somebody coming from that setting. Like we already, like, especially if we've been locked up for a while, we already trained. We've trained ourselves not to accept no help from nobody. Don't show no vulnerability. Don't ask nobody for shit. This is what we've ingrained in our minds. So for somebody to have the courage to get up the courage to ask for help, like, look, we got to get in there. It's time sensitive. We got to act. We got to help. If we're able to help, we got to act when they ask for it. Because if not, they're going to lose interest and they ain't going to want to help no more. They're going to go back to what they know. So, re-entry is important to me. Like I said in the beginning, like it's important to me. It's a subject that I feel strongly about, because if I didn't have any navigators, working on helping me for a successful re-entry into society, like I already know where I'd be. I'd be dead or from an overdose, or I'd be living in jail or prison, or I would have got killed in a robbery by now. Like I already know. It's nobody's 100%. I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that that's what my life would be like if I didn't have good, strong peers helping me with that reentry process. Now, they told me to go till 1:30 and then open the floor for questions. I'm about going all I can go. And I'm sure, like, if y'all like me, man, these Zoom meetings, they be killing me. So thank you for bearing with me for as long as you have. But I mean, we got time for however long they want y'all to ask questions. I'll answer them if I can, or open discussion. That's all I got. But thank you for letting me attempt to present that the best I could.
You did great, Chris. Cricket. Sorry,
I still wish I could have came to Colorado physically. I'm gonna get that trip soon.
We'll see. Maybe we can work something out. We'll see what we can do. Does anyone have any questions for Cricket? I think you gave us a lot of detail, my man. So I don't think you left too much room for. Yeah, Natalia.
I have a question. I don't even know if it's a question with an actual answer, but I was curious, do you notice, like, in terms of success rate or in terms of how long it takes people to recover, if there's a difference between people that are in your program in prison and then leaving, continue with your program, versus people that weren't in your program while they were in prison and just started? Like, is there a certain difference between the two groups of people, and if they recover faster, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Another great question. So we did a study. Well, I say we, but it really wasn't us. The jail actually hired some data people to do a study at Pamunkey Regional Jail, which is the jail that I got clean in. They did statistics on recidivism rate. And for the population that came through our program at McShin Foundation, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, and I don't got them in front of me, but I do know that I remember the percentage. Those that had came through that program and then re-entered society in that first year, they only did a year study. They tracked everybody that got released in that year from the whole jail, counting the 30 people that came through that pod. But everybody that got released from that jail, it was a 41% decrease in the recidivism rate from those that came through. Because that's a huge number. I don't know if y'all are familiar with like recidivism rates, but that's a huge difference from what the guys and girls that were not going through that pod were doing. And like I said, I ain't no scientist. I'll be the first to admit I ain't smart as some people think I am, for real. But I do know this. Like I know I'm one of them. Like I came through that pod and I ain't been back to jail since. And y'all got to remember, the longest I made it on the street was 4 months, but my average was 45 days. That was my average length of freedom. Longest ever since I was a child was 4 months. Now, I went through that pod and I was in that pod for just under 5 months. And that was 6 years ago. I ain't been back since. So, I mean, that, as far as like the data, I don't know a lot about it. I just know that it worked for me. And that one jail did a study over a year span that showed that the recidivism rate was a 41% difference. Natalia, does that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. That's an incredible number.
But now I don't want to, like, the pod itself, the actual drug program in the correctional setting. Yeah, it's an important ingredient, but it ain't the recipe. Like that jail program ain't the recipe. The recipe is everything else we talked about. The recipe is that 80% of work we're doing, that reentry starts in the community, included with while we're in the jail. And then that third component, that, that day out, that first day out, like, and it ain't over there. We talked about that. Like it's a continuous journey. Like, and some people gonna come back and some people gonna, come back several times. Cody has been released and back into recovery. This is the 4th time since I've met him. And he does really well when he does well. He just relapsed the other day. And I have his permission to share that with you guys. And he's, and you know what? And he just had another court date this morning for some charges that he caught on his last relapse. You know what? But I mean, we're here for him. We can only help him as much as he wants us to help. And I think that's important for all of us to remember. Like, we can't part the sea. Like, we can only do what we can do, but it's important that we do what we can do.
So I have another question. In terms of data, how long would you say is the average engagement for your participants that are reentering from your county jail program?
So after release?
Yep.
So I'll tell you, man, our sweet spot is like 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
That's our sweet spot. Like those of us that give us like good, active, like good, like no bullshit, honest to God, like attempt at engagement with us for like 6 to 9 months, they have the highest chances of sustaining their recovery. If that's what you're asking me.
Yeah, that's it. And then in tracking progress, are you guys administering like monthly assessments on them? Like, do they willingly do like a monthly assessment to track community engagement, whether or not they've had recurrences, returning to custody, that type of thing? How often are you doing your assessments?
We do 30. We do day of, then we do 30 days, then we do 60 days, then we do 90 days, then we do 6 months, then we do a year. And then we do them annually. So it's almost like, I don't know if any of you are familiar with like 12-step fellowship on the NA. We kind of do it on the key tag system. Okay. Day 1, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, and then annually thereafter.
Cool.
I just want to thank you for coming. It's really, really interesting and encouraging. I mean, I'm just starting my peer recovery stuff, and with the help of Rod, I should be be able to take the state certification here pretty quick. And just listening to your story is just like so inspiring, because it's like I've came a long way too, and like I have people that tell me like, you're so inspiring, you need to get out there and help people. And it's kind of hard just getting your foot in the door somewhere like that, because I'm I'll be 58 next week, and I lived a pretty crazy life, but you just gave me so much inspiration. So I just really want to thank you for sharing your story and giving me encouragement, more encouragement than I already have, because I bug Rod a lot. So, but he's helped me a lot too. I really appreciate Rod.
Thank you. Hey, you gonna do good, girl. Just you trust me. It's crazy. Like everything they told us about us having a life better than we could imagine, like it's true. You'll see.
That's what I say too, because I've been to prison 3 times. My DLC number is like so old, and just to know that I can use all my, when people look so down on me and so wanted to kick me when I was already in the ground and throw dirt on top of me, I can use all that now and turn around and help somebody find their recovery and help them figure out, and then they could be, yeah, this somebody gave me a chance and somebody believed in me, and you know what I mean, it's just like it's awesome.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
I do have one more question. As far as your participants, how many are you guys serving in that 6th to 9th month period?
So as an organization, not our whole organization isn't reentry. Like, I mean, we have, it's probably about 45%, maybe close to half of our participants are returning citizens at some point or have been incarcerated at some point. But I'd say we have beds for 128, and they're normally full at all times. So you figure, Dominique, you know, almost half of those people are returning citizens. So, I mean, they, you know, literally almost half of them have experience with the criminal justice system.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Chris, Cricket. And what are you doing for the rest of the weekend? Anything fun?
Yeah, I am actually, man. You know, like I said, recovery's been pretty cool to me. I'm going to pick my kids up. I've got identical boys. They're 10 years old. They just turned 10 a couple weeks ago, man. And I swear they think they're old men now and all that. They're really funny kids, but I'm getting ready to go pick them up. As soon as I get off of here, I'm gonna go pick them up. They're with me this weekend. I just got them season passes to Kings of Minion, which is the theme park. And tomorrow's opening day there. And you know, COVID, they have restrictions on how many people they can let in. So you got to like reserve your spot to get in. And somehow or another, I was able to get 4 reservations. So we're going to be there opening time tomorrow. And they'll probably break me and, you know, run. I'll probably be exhausted by the end of the day, but you know what, man, I love it. I'm here. I'm not locked up. I'm not intoxicated or belligerent. Oh, by the way, I'm drinking a Monster too, man. I realized I popped the top on that during my presentation. And I'm like, damn, it looks like a Coors Light and some more shit. So it's a Monster. But yeah, man, I've got family weekend this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for asking.
Well, we'll look forward to the next time we hear from you or see you or speak to you.
Oh, I'm coming. You'll see me the next time we talk.
Thanks so much. I'm going to send your contact info out to everybody via email, if that's all right.
Please.
Later today. And I wish you all well. I did put another ask for the demographic sheet to be filled out in the chat box. If any of you didn't, would you please do that for us? This is grant funded a little bit, so we have to provide them a little bit of information that people participated. So that would be great. And it only takes a minute. It's not a huge deal. So I appreciate it very much. So anything else, Chris?
Nothing. Thank you guys for listening to me. I know, like I said, I know those things can drain your soul sometimes, these Zoom meetings, but hopefully I was able to help somebody.
I think you gave us a lot of great info, frankly. Play by play. It was really good.
Thanks.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for attending the workshop. The next one's in 2 months. I don't know the date offhand, but I'll put info out. And we're still deciding what the topic's going to be. I think we're looking at sustainability as one, and finding COVID resources for RCOs, and another as well. I don't remember. We run until November, so November is our last one of these. It's every 2 months. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
for the
thank
work
you,
do.
Cricket. Yeah, thank you.
You
You're amazing. You guys are awesome.
Keep up the good work.
off to sober happy hour. I'll talk to you later.
See you in a little bit, Ron and Claudia.
All right.
Later.
Bye, guys.